Hello everyone, welcome back to Oni-chan. At this moment, the Luffy's group and everyone else are working together to devise a plan to defeat the Yonko Kaido. Rescue all the citizens of Wano country. Suddenly, the sky began to darken again. A colossal dragon appeared in the sky, causing fear among everyone. Is that the Yonko Kaido? Meanwhile, all the townspeople were in a state of panic, not expecting Kaido to appear in person. Law realized that Kaido's arrival meant he was seeking to capture him and Luffy. Immediately, Luffy rushed towards Kaido's location. While Kaido was drunkenly wreaking havoc in the town, Hawkins informed him that Luffy and Law were at the old castle of Oden. This prompted Kaido to shift his attention towards the castle. Kaido's gaze turned towards them, shocking them all. Kaido immediately soared into the sky, readying himself to unleash a fireball upon Nami's group. This caused panic among everyone, as they scrambled in a frantic attempt to flee from the impending danger. With just one strike, Kaido demolished an entire mountain. Seeing his teammate under attack, causing Luffy to grow angry, he immediately activated Gear 2 and swiftly dashed towards Kaido. As he approached Kaido, Luffy promptly employed Gear 3 to leap into the sky and directly delivered a powerful punch straight to Kaido's head, causing Kaido to plummet to the ground. At this moment, Luffy is deeply concerned for his teammate. Suddenly, he notices Speed is injured. Irritated by Kaido's soldiers talking excessively, Luffy promptly puts them to sleep. Speed reveals that Otama was harmed by Kaido, instantly fueling Luffy's anger. This is because Otama had saved all her food for Luffy to eat. Luffy then questions Law. If I defeat Kaido, everything will come to an end, right? At this moment, Luffy's punch has also calmed down Kaido's drunkenness. Kaido asks, "Who are you, you brat?" Luffy replies, "I am the one who will become the Pirate King," which makes Kaido see Luffy as too insolent and shoot fire at him. But Luffy managed to dodge and immediately landed a punch on him, sending Kaido reeling back. Unexpectedly, it was like a mosquito bite to him. So, Kaido swatted Luffy away. But Luffy still didn't give in, getting back up to block Kaido's attacks, and promptly unleashed a barrage of punches, continuously striking Kaido's body. As Luffy prepared to unleash his finishing blow, Kaido blew a breath that sent Luffy staggering back. But Luffy continued to rush in, launching relentless attacks on Kaido without stopping, causing Kaido to lie sprawled on the ground. Suddenly, Kaido shrank back and transformed into his human form. Just when Luffy thought he had defeated him, Kaido stood up again. Turns out he was still inebriated. So, Luffy immediately activated his most powerful form, Gear 4. He advanced and delivered a punch to Kaido's face. But no matter how hard Luffy punched, Kaido didn't flinch, making Kaido infuriated by this cheeky kid. As Luffy was preparing to unleash his finishing blow, Kaido immediately employed the Thunderclap 8 trigrams technique, sending Luffy flying into the mountain with a tremendously powerful strike. Surprisingly, Luffy was truly brought down. Law immediately activated his devil fruit power to try to get Luffy to escape, but he was intercepted by Hawkins, forcing him to leave alone. Meanwhile, Kaido was still watching Luffy and asked, "Tell me again, what kind of king do you want to become, you little brat?" Then, he left, thinking that Luffy had been defeated. Suddenly, even though he was unconscious, Luffy unleashed the Conqueror's Haki, forcing Kaido to halt in his tracks, and decide to imprison Luffy in Udon to make him his subordinate. On Kiku's side, she was trying to locate everyone. Fortunately, they were all safe. It turned out that before Kaido attacked them, Shinobu had used her ninja technique to dig a hole, so everyone was secure. On Otama's side, she was rescued by Inuarashi's group. He couldn't believe it. Kaido had targeted a child. While Luffy was being taken back to Udon, the entire Wano kingdom received leaflets, declaring Luffy's defeat, causing his comrades to be shocked. And just when things couldn't get worse, the ship captain was arrested and put into prison. Inside the prison at this time, all the inmates here were subjected to harsh labor. Luffy was heavily injured and had his face bandaged. The guards here constantly provoked him, but unexpectedly, there was someone in the shadows who came to his aid. Suddenly, upon entering the cell, Luffy coincidentally encountered Kid. As it turned out, Kid was also captured and imprisoned here. On Chopper's side, his group tended to Otama's injuries, helping her recover. Upon learning that Luffy was taken to Udon, they grew deeply concerned, as Udon was Kaido's brutal forced labor prison, designed to break the will of its prisoners and force them to submit to him. At this point, Luffy had to struggle to break rocks in exchange for buns. However, Kid managed to break more rocks and obtain more buns than him. which frustrated Luffy and compelled him to surpass Kid. At this moment, there was an old man exchanging buns. Despite putting in a lot of effort, he could only get a tiny piece in exchange, which left him frustrated. Consequently, he was immediately struck by a soldier, while Luffy continued to compete with Kid for food, making the prison guards fearful, because even though both of them were wearing handcuffs made of sea prism stone, they were still not weakened. So, they managed to exchange for 2 crates of buns. Outside, a prison guard was extremely angry, because Luffy and Kid had eaten all of his buns, even though both of them were already plump. Just wait for us to digest a bit. Just after exhaling, Luffy and Kid returned to normal. Suddenly, Luffy saw the prison guard bullying an old man, causing Luffy to become angry. So, he immediately rushed over and swallowed both of them into the mouth of the hippopotamus. But unexpectedly, he was hit and knocked down. At that moment, Luffy hoisted the old man onto his shoulders and left, igniting excitement among all the prisoners, as someone dared to stand up against the prison guards. The next day, everyone was curious about who Luffy was. Hio also arrived and thanked Luffy for saving him. Luffy said that what happened yesterday was nothing and even gave him a handful of food exchange tickets. He realized that Luffy was a good person. Suddenly, Raizo infiltrated the prison. It turned out he was looking for sea prism stone handcuffs to help Luffy escape. As Raizo left, Caribou appeared looking for Luffy. Apparently, he had overheard Luffy's plan to leave and wanted to join him. In the capital, Sanji's group was currently sending out signals to gather all the samurai of the kingdom. Suddenly, they spotted the renowned beauty, Komurasaki, parading. She was hailed as the most beautiful woman in Wano country. So the wicked and wealthy men pursuing her ended up losing all their fortune. Meanwhile, Zoro was indulging in gambling, winning consistently, much to the frustration of the casino owner. As for this man, he was following Zoro in an attempt to beg for money. The casino owner knew that if Zoro kept winning, he would end up with nothing, so the casino owner resorted to cheating. They had someone hidden under the table to manipulate the face of the dice, causing Zoro to lose. As a result, Zoro decided to place all his bets once again, but this time he uncovered their trickery. He then used Haki to blow the entire casino away. Seeing Zoro standing up to him all by himself, the casino owner called his subordinates. Unexpectedly, Zoro only needed to unsheath his sword to unleash his killing intent, which immediately caused them to lose consciousness. As a result, the casino owner had no choice but to pay Zoro to leave. The next day, the man named Yasui continued to follow Zoro, recognizing his strength, and he informed Zoro about the situation in Wano country. He then led Zoro to his hometown of Ebisu town. Zoro realized that the people here were very poor, but he couldn't understand why they were so cheerful. Despite that, they remained friendly, gathering around Zoro, and even offering him clean water to drink, which was the most precious thing in their village. As for Shogun Orochi, he was leisurely enjoying himself. While many citizens of Wano were experiencing hunger, Robin also infiltrated here to investigate him. It turns out he was waiting for the courtesan Komurasaki. On Sanji's side, he met Law. Law informed Sanji that there are 2 Tobi Roppo members here, Page 1 and Drake, along with Hawkins. It turns out they are searching for other members of Luffy's crew. On Kaido's side, while he was drinking, he received news. Yonko Big Mom is advancing towards Onigashima. This made him furious, and he ordered to sink her ship. Outside the waterfall, Big Mom's children started destroying Kaido's cannons. It turns out that Big Mom came here for revenge against Luffy. Meanwhile, Queen was worried and unsure how to stop Big Mom, as she had passed the waterfall and entered Wano. In response, King took action. He transformed into a flying pteranodon and headed towards Big Mom's ship. As Big Mom's ship was just about to pass the waterfall, unexpectedly, King kicked it back down, causing Big Mom to fall into the swirling waters below, separating her from her children. On Sanji's side, the group was leaving the flower capital, while Page 1 was still causing havoc in the town searching for them. Suddenly Sanji heard the cries for help from a girl. So, he immediately turned back and kicked Page 1 right in the face. Law realized that if they stayed there, Kaido's troops would be attracted to this location. Therefore, Sanji told them to leave and let him handle it. Sanji immediately activated the transformation armor of Germa 66. It turns out Sanji also wanted to test his new power. So, he immediately transformed. This surprised Law and made him realize, because Sanji is a member of the infamous Germa 66 army. Then, Page 1 attacked Sanji, but Sanji moved swiftly. This left him unable to keep up with Sanji's speed, and he was hit with a powerful kick from Sanji. He then continued to rush towards and attack Sanji, but Sanji used his coat as an impromptu shield to block the attacker's strike. As Sanji took to the sky, Page 1 promptly leapt up to seize him. Unexpectedly, Sanji could turn invisible and disappear, and thus, Sanji relentlessly attacked him. At this moment, Sanji realized he possessed the power of invisibility, leaving Sanji very excited, because his childhood dream was to find the devil fruit of invisibility, so that he could sneak into the women's bath. Meanwhile, Page 1 had transformed into his human beast form. Determined to deal with Sanji decisively, Page 1 continued his assault on Sanji. Seizing this opportunity, Sanji still wanted to learn more about his outfit. Unexpectedly, no matter how Page 1 attacked him, he couldn't inflict any harm upon Sanji. So Sanji counterattacked him. Sanji soared into the sky and decided to unleash a finishing blow, creating a large crater in the ground. But unexpectedly, he managed to stand up again. Sanji realized that this guy was quite resilient as well. Sanji recognized that he was also very strong, so he decided to leave. On Robin's side, while she was investigating the secrets of Orochi, she unexpectedly got discovered by his group of ninja. Robin intended to escape, but she was captured by them. They decided to execute Robin. Surprisingly, that was just a clone of her, so Robin informed Nami and Brook that she had been detected by the ninja. Shinobu immediately recognized them as Orochi's loyal 11 ninja. At this moment, Robin had returned to Orochi's banquet, knowing it would be safe there. While the ninja were still searching for Robin, Orochi revealed to Robin that he was planning a grand feast with Kaido on Onigashima Island. On Chopper and Otama's side, they discovered a person lying on the beach, which scared Chopper to the point of almost peeing himself. It was none other than the four emperors. Big Mom. As soon as he heard Big Mom, Momo became frightened and transformed into a dragon. However, Otama didn't know who she was. When Chopper was about to attack her discreetly, unexpectedly, Big Mom regained consciousness. This made Chopper and Momo run away immediately. Suddenly, Big Mom spoke. "Who am I?" Chopper was immediately surprised, as he realized she had lost her memory. When Otama was about to let Big Mom know her name, she was immediately stopped by Chopper, because if she let her know that she's a Yonko, it could pose a danger. Suddenly, Big Mom felt hungry. On Orochi's side, as he was fearing that the 9 red scabbards might return for revenge, young Otoko couldn't control her laughter, because she overheard everyone here saying he's a coward. This infuriated Orochi. He wanted to punish Otoko, and thus, Orochi captured Otoko. Despite being scared, Otoko couldn't stop laughing. When Robin was about to rush to rescue Otoko, he was immediately slapped by Komurasaki, making Orochi bewildered as to why he was struck by his own crush. He even faced humiliation from Komurasaki's words. This instantly angered Orochi, leading him to unleash his devil fruit power, transforming into an 8-headed serpent. It turned out he had also consumed a mythical zone devil fruit. He thought this form would intimidate Komurasaki, but she showed no fear at all, making him angry and prompting him to attack everyone around him. Meanwhile, Robin managed to rescue Otoko in time, but as she was about to leave, she was spotted by the ninja. Fortunately, Brook arrived and turned into a ghost, scaring them away. While Orochi intended to kill Komurasaki, Kiyoshiro stepped in to thwart him, making Orochi suspect that Kiyoshiro might betray him too. Unexpectedly, Kiyoshiro turned to Komurasaki and asked, "Have you been waiting for this moment?" Immediately, he swung his sword and struck her, leaving everyone astonished. No one anticipated that the most beautiful woman in Wano would meet such a fate. Even Orochi was shocked to see the one he loved killed. However, Kiyoshiro was merely displaying his loyalty, leaving Orochi with no grounds for reproach, and so, he turned his attention towards Robin. Seeing Robin under attack, Nami immediately summoned Zeus from her Klima tact, and swiftly called forth thunderbolts to strike Orochi, turning him into a roasted snake. Consequently, Nami's group managed to escape in time. On the other side, Big Mom had been brought to the village and given some red bean soup to eat. Even though she only had a small bowl, she was delighted. At this point, Otama understood Big Mom's strength, and devised a plan to ask Big Mom to rescue Luffy. She informed her that there was plenty of red bean soup in the Udon prison. This intrigued Big Mom, and she eagerly wanted to go there. Meanwhile, Chopper was afraid that if she regained her memory, they would be in danger. Ultimately, they all set out together for Udon. At this moment, Big Mom's stomach rumbled loudly, and she looked at Chopper as if he were a food supply. However, Kiku took out the map to check, and realized that Udon was still quite far away. While Luffy was still attempting to break rocks in exchange for food, he also helped Hio and continued giving him food ticket stubs. Unexpectedly, a camel-headed man approached Luffy and started talking to him, asking about Kid's escape from the prison. At this moment, Hio was deeply grateful to Luffy for his continuous assistance. Suddenly, a deputy overseer from Udon started bothering him, seeing that Hio wasn't working but still getting food, causing him to become angry. Although the bun dropped to the ground, Hio still treasured it and ate it. This further infuriated the prison guard, who proceeded to continuously beat him, seeing Hio being bullied while still trying to finish his bun. This made Luffy very angry and he wanted to give the prison guard a lesson, so he immediately rushed over and kicked him, knocking him out instantly. On Raizo's side, he managed to steal the key from the soldiers, so he immediately turned back to rescue Luffy. Outside Udon at this moment, Queen had come back, while Luffy was still engaged in battle with the prison guards inside, even though he had been weakened significantly by the sea prism stone cuffs. But Luffy saw it as a form of training. Suddenly, the chief warden appeared, so Luffy intended to fight him. He immediately fired a cannonball from an elephant at Luffy, sending him flying. Suddenly, he heard that Queen had returned, so he left to attend Queen's comedic performance. As he was the overseer of Udon Prison, one of the 3 all-stars of Kaido with a bounty of 1,320,000,000 belly. At this point, Queen asked the chief warden about the 3 urgent matters in the prison. Upon hearing that Kid had escaped, the sea prism stones were stolen, and Luffy was on the run, he was shocked. While Luffy was still trying to help Hio climb up the cliff, Queen immediately ordered his subordinates to attack them, causing both of them to fall in reverse. They were immediately surrounded by the assailants. Luffy had to defend Hio while evading their attacks. Unexpectedly, the chief warden managed to capture both of them. Now, Queen mentioned that he wanted to have a chat with them, and he told both of them to join the Beast's pirates crew. It turned out that Hio was also a significant figure from 20 years ago, having been a Yakuza boss, but Luffy still refused him. While Raizo was uncertain about how to rescue Luffy, he accidentally stumbled upon Kawamatsu, also a member of the 9 Red Scabbards, which brought joy to Raizo. Suddenly, Raizo was spotted, so he quickly ran away. Meanwhile, Queen came up with a game for Luffy. They were both fitted with neck collars. If these collars were to leave the arena, their heads would be detached. Luffy would have to fight against all the prison guards in the prison. They even removed Luffy's sea prism stone cuffs, leaving Raizo surprised for discovering that he had mistakenly taken the wrong key. On the other hand, Luffy was quite cheerful as he asked Queen, "If I win, I can leave this place, right, Fatso?" Seeing Luffy so confident, it amused Queen greatly. Thus, he immediately initiated the battle. The prison guards immediately rushed in to attack Luffy. Yet all he needed to do was employ his conqueror's Haki. This caused them to faint immediately. Queen realized that dealing with Luffy was difficult, so he continued to send more soldiers, but they couldn't even lay a finger on him, despite having practiced smashing rocks extensively. Luffy still felt he wasn't skilled enough to face Kaido, as his punches seemed like mere mosquito bites to him. Suddenly, Luffy recalled his master Rayleigh. He had once used advanced armament Haki to strike down an elephant without needing to touch it. In the eastern part of Wano country at this time, Zoro had found the thief of his sword Yasui. The thief claimed it was the treasure of Ryama, a legendary samurai of Wano. But Zoro still aimed to retrieve his sword. As Luffy fought, he imagined himself facing Kaido, but he still felt like something was missing. Master Rayleigh had taught him about advanced armament Haki, which required him to visualize an invisible armor. This time, Queen decided to send out 2 gifters to battle Luffy, so he continued to use them for his training. With a single strike, he managed to take down one of them. At this moment, the Batman continuously shot arrows at Luffy, so he employed Haki to block the arrows, and he charged at him, threw a punch that sent him flying into the wall. Meanwhile, Zoro was still in battle with the sword thief. Although Zoro claimed that the sword was a gift from Ryama, but he still didn't believe it. The thief kept talking about Ryama's legends and his history, and he revealed to Zoro that Yasui was a black blade that Ryama forged through battles. This made Zoro realize that the black blade was forged using Haki. Suddenly, a girl ran up, calling for help. It turned out to be Komurasaki and Otoko. They were being pursued by an assassin. Zoro quickly intervened to stop him. The sword thief also rushed over to fight him. "You couldn't wait for me a bit, could you?" Seeing the assassin trying to harm women and children, Zoro became furious. Komurasaki begged Zoro to save her. "Do you have alcohol and food?" So, Zoro decided to step in and rescue them. The assassin kept charging at Zoro, attacking relentlessly. Zoro realized that this opponent was quite strong, prompting him to start fighting seriously. Thus, a serious battle between Zoro and the assassin began. Luffy told Queen to bring someone stronger to fight him. So, Queen called forth a bearman to battle him. Surprisingly, Luffy's punches didn't faze the bearman at all, which excited Luffy to activate his Haki. Unexpectedly, this time his punch penetrated through the bearman's body. Yet Luffy still felt that he wasn't strong enough. At this moment, Kiyoshiro remembered the time he slashed Komurasaki. It turned out that it was just a staged act to deceive Orochi. Kiyoshiro hadn't actually killed her. Meanwhile, Zoro was still battling against Killer. Suddenly, the sword-stealing thief resumed attacking Zoro unexpectedly, causing Zoro to lose focus and allowing Killer to stab his scythe through Zoro's shoulder. However, he realized that he couldn't retract his scythe from Zoro's shoulder, so Zoro immediately seized the scythe from him. Now, Zoro could utilize his three-sword style. He unleashed his Haki and struck Killer with an immensely powerful blow, promptly causing Killer to collapse. Meanwhile, Komurasaki was mesmerized by Zoro's incredible coolness. Suddenly, the sword thief left. However, Zoro was exhausted due to hunger. On Luffy's side, the camel-headed warden was the next opponent he faced, together with a pangolin man, wearing iron armor. This made Luffy excited as this opponent was suitable for his training. While Queen was eating red bean soup and watching the match, Luffy used Haki to observe the future, guiding Hio to evade the attacks of their opponents, making their opponents unable to land any hits on them. Luffy disregarded dodging anymore, and immediately punched away the bullets fired by his opponent. However, when he punched at the pangolin man, he still hadn't mastered the advanced Haki. Seeing that Hio was being pursued, Luffy decided to carry him while fighting off the opponents. No matter how they attacked, they couldn't hit Luffy, so they immediately combined their attacks to assault him. Luffy also flew up and delivered a punch at them. Luffy's proclamation, "You're still nothing compared to Kaido," immediately caused them to disperse. On Zoro's side, as he regained his composure, he suddenly remembered the sword. It turned out that Komurasaki had treated his wounds and wanted to repay him for saving her. However, Zoro was solely focused on retrieving his sword. He was stopped by Komurasaki as he was still injured. After some pleading, Zoro agreed to stay and have the soup she had prepared. Komurasaki recognized Zoro's strength and asked for his help in finding her brother. It turned out that her brother was Momo, and her real name was Hiori. This revelation surprised Zoro, and Hiori realized that Zoro knew Momo. Yet, he found it odd since Hiori was a 26-year-old woman while Momo was just an 8-year-old boy. Hiori proceeded to explain that their mother had brought Momo and Kinemon's group to the future. 20 years later, that's why Momo has the appearance of a child. As for Hiori, she was taken out of the royal palace by Kawamatsu. At this point, Zoro also informed her about the situation of everyone, making Hiori relieved to know that they are safe. While Zoro only knows 6 members of the 9 Red Scabbards group, there are still 3 members he hasn't met yet. Feeling exhausted, Zoro then lay down and fell asleep. Luffy came to realize that his punches were just scratches for Kaido. At this point, Hio recognized that the Haki Luffy was using in Wano is called Ryo. He decided to demonstrate it for Luffy. Unexpectedly, he was able to use Haki, and with just one punch, he knocked his opponent away. Hio asked, "Do you want to learn it?" "I will teach you." Instantly, this made Luffy elated, as this was the very skill he desired to learn. However, Hio was already exhausted, so Luffy decided to both support him and continue fighting. Hio advised Luffy to sense the flow of Haki within his body, so Luffy attempted to use it. He landed a punch on the pangolin man, sending him off the arena floor. Yet, Hio corrected Luffy, stating that he was rushing too much and making a mistake. Undeterred, Luffy resolved to try again, attacking the gifters. However, this time, he still couldn't control the flow of Haki. This made Hio realize that Luffy was too impatient. By evening, despite having fought numerous opponents, Luffy still hadn't gained control over Haki, leaving him frustrated due to hunger. Suddenly, Hio asked, "Why do you want to fight Kaido?" Seeing these annoying soldiers, Luffy unleashed Conqueror's Haki to make them fall asleep early. Luffy said, "Because he's one of the 4 emperors of the sea. I'm going to be the Pirate King, so I need to defeat him." Suddenly, Caribou and Raizo reappeared and informed Hio that they were gathering all the samurai of Wano to defeat Kaido. While Caribou was still pleading with Luffy for a way to escape, Hio realized that this was Wano's last opportunity. He decided to join Luffy's group. Meanwhile, Luffy decided to destroy the entire prison to turn all the prisoners into his allies. Caribou immediately expelled red bean soup from his body, so Luffy was able to eat and regain his strength. Meanwhile, Big Mom is feeling very hungry. On Yasui's side, he has been captured by Orochi's subordinates, because he is the legendary thief of Wano. No matter how he was attacked, he didn't reveal anything. Suddenly, the leader of Orochi's ninja squad recognized another identity of him, while Orochi was still mourning the death of Komurasaki. Upon hearing the true identity of Yasui, Orochi became extremely frightened and immediately wanted to execute him. Kiyoshiro remarked that today was an auspicious day, coinciding with the funeral of Komurasaki, and it was fitting to carry out Yasui's execution. On Queen's side, he was also grieving over the death of Komurasaki. Suddenly, he noticed Luffy, who had become plump like a ball. It turned out that Luffy had devoured all of Queen's red bean soup. At this moment, Queen was solely focused on observing the execution ceremony in the flower capital. On Brook's side, he had found Zoro and was surprised to see him sleeping with a woman. At this moment, Brook informed them that Yasui was about to be executed in the flower capital. This news deeply moved Otoko, who ran off despite her continuous laughter. Zoro didn't understand why Otoko was reacting in such a contradictory manner. Despite her laughter, Otoko revealed that Yasui was her father. At that moment, Yasui was brought onto the execution platform, while Nami's group remained puzzled by the fact that all the people of Ebisu were laughing. Yasui was deeply loved by the town's residents, so it was odd for them to react this way. Kinemon, on the other hand, had recognized Yasui and was surprised that he was still alive. It was revealed that Yasui was the former daimyo of the Shimotsuki clan, serving the Kazuki shogunate under Oden. As soon as his name was announced, all the people of Wano wished for Orochi to spare Yasui's life. At this moment, Yasui recalled memories of Oden. He would sternly urge Oden to become the leader of Wano and take his responsibilities seriously. But Oden was more interested in exploring the seas and having adventures. This led to Yasui repeatedly scolding and hitting Oden. Now, preparations were being made for Yasui's execution. Otoko, in tears and laughter, ran to her father's side. The people of Ebisu also rushed into the capital city. Yasui began to speak, declaring that Orochi was nothing but a sham, because he himself has turned Wano country into a hell, causing the people to have no food and clean water to drink. While Yasui continued to smile and revealed all the dark deeds of Orochi to the people of Wano, then Orochi rushed in and prepared to execute him, preventing Yasui from saying anything more. Meanwhile, Kinemon realized that Yasui had sacrificed himself to help all the samurai gather. Yasui believed that they would surely be able to save Wano country. As Otoko tried to run towards the execution platform, Orochi and his subordinates immediately fired their guns, causing the 9 Red Scabbards group to burst into tears at his sacrifice. Otoko could only run back towards her father helplessly. It turns out that Yasui had adopted Otoko from a young age and had always cared for and looked after her. However, the people in Ebisu village could only watch Yasui's departure right in front of them. Suddenly, Zoro felt very strange and couldn't understand why they were laughing so loudly in the face of Yasui's death, which made him quite angry. Hiori then explained to Zoro that everyone was actually crying, not laughing. The people in Ebisu village are always forced to smile, no matter how much pain or sadness they feel, because Orochi and Kaido had given them defective devil fruit smiles. As a result, they can only express one emotion: laughter. At this moment, there was laughter echoing through the capital instead of the usual sounds of crying. The group of Nami and Robin had just arrived, but they couldn't understand why everyone was laughing like that. On Luffy's side, he realized, surely they must have a reason, right? Because no one in this world deserves to be laughed at when they die. Hio explained to Luffy that it's because the artificial devil fruits called smile have robbed them of their true emotions. These smile fruits were created by Kaido to enhance the strength of the beast pirates. The defective smile fruits were then distributed to the impoverished people of Wano by Orochi. Because they have no food, they are forced to eat these devil fruits to alleviate their hunger, leaving them with no choice but to laugh. To them, it's akin to living in hell. Finally, Zoro also understands why they behave this way. Meanwhile, Orochi is laughing at the suffering of others. At this moment, Otoko rushes in to embrace her father, laughing while trying to apply healing ointment on Yasui's body. Suddenly, Orochi fires his gun, realizing that she is Yasui's daughter. As he aims to shoot Otoko, Zoro and Sanji immediately jump forward to intercept his bullets. even going so far as to destroy the entire execution platform. Because of what they had done, it made them furious, so they immediately surrounded Zoro and Sanji. However, both Zoro and Sanji managed to defeat them. Suddenly, Zoro entrusted Otoko to Sanji. He intended to strike Orochi with a single blow. Zoro launched his attack, but unexpectedly, Kiyoshiro intervened to block the attack. Meanwhile, Drake transformed into a dinosaur to obstruct Sanji. Seizing this opportunity, Franky helped them remove Yasui's body from the scene. While the others were engaged in battle, Zoro was determined to face Kiyoshiro seriously. On Queen's side of the prison, Luffy was cheering for his teammates. Suddenly, two criminals appeared in the prison. It turned out to be Killer. Unexpectedly, Kid had also been captured again. Kid couldn't understand why Killer was laughing so crazily, as he used to be someone very cold and composed. This immediately infuriated Kid because his crew had turned into such a state. Luffy was also angry and told Queen to continue the fight immediately. While Zoro and the others were still battling Orochi's subordinates, Kiyoshiro recognized that Zoro was also a formidable opponent. On Sanji's side, he was engaged in a fight with Drake. Suddenly, he came to a halt, because he heard Hiori's cry for help. Sanji decided to rush to her rescue. Unexpectedly, Zoro reached her first, leaving Sanji stunned in disbelief. At this moment, Queen had Kid and Killer suspended upside down in the water, further fueling Luffy's anger. Realizing the need to rescue them immediately, he challenged Queen in combat, frustrating Queen, who retorted, "Do you think you can actually leave here and defeat us later? Die, you fools." Luffy retorted, "Only I have the right to decide when to die." Suddenly, Big Mom arrived outside the prison as well, breaking down the doors and entering. However, Big Mom at this time was solely interested in eating red bean soup. On Queen's side, they also sensed the prison under attack. The sudden appearance of Big Mom startled them. Little did they expect one of the four emperors to be here. Wasn't she supposed to have sunk into the sea? Meanwhile, Chopper's group was waiting outside. At this moment, Big Mom caught a whiff of the red bean soup. Yet, that was Queen's favorite food, enraging him to the point of adamant refusal. So he immediately unleashed his devil fruit power and transformed into a long-necked dinosaur. He cursed, "Red bean soup is mine, you old hag." This infuriated Big Mom, and she decided to teach this cheeky fool a lesson. With just one punch, she pressed Queen's head into the ground, leaving everyone astonished, for her power was truly fearsome. Yet, Queen managed to rise to his feet. He immediately leapt up, attempting to crush Big Mom. As he descended, he tried to overpower Big Mom by pinning her down to the ground. However, he was taken aback when Big Mom effortlessly tossed him aside, spinning him around like a top and then slamming him against the wall, causing the walls of Udon prison to crumble. Fortunately, this turn of events managed to rescue Kid and Killer. At this moment, Queen was knocked out with just 2 blows, surprising everyone. Is this the level of a Yonko? Indeed. Meanwhile, Raizo and Caribou seized this opportunity and stole the transponder snails to prevent them from communicating with Kaido. Big Mom had found the red bean soup by now, which made her very pleased. However, there was nothing left inside, which left Big Mom feeling down. The soldiers fled in panic. Suddenly, Luffy revealed that he was the one who ate the red bean soup, which infuriated Big Mom and led to her attacking him. However, both of them found themselves shackled and unable to escape the arena. It turned out that Big Mom intended to bring the red bean soup back to the villagers of the village because they had shared it with her. She proceeded to attack both Luffy and Hio, sending Hio flying. Luffy immediately grabbed him and tried to remove the neck collar. Unexpectedly, Luffy was able to use advanced Haki, effortlessly breaking the neck collar and tossing it outside. As a result, both of them were safe. At this moment, Hio said again, "Before you forget that feeling, protect me, will you?" Luffy realized that Hio wanted to help him train, so he jumped back into the fray and intercepted Big Mom's attack. Luffy declared, "If I fail, you'll die." To which Hio responded, "I don't care." However, both Luffy and Hio were sent crashing into a wall by Big Mom's powerful strike. "I'm sorry, old man. The Ryo technique can be transmitted into the enemy's body and destroy it from the inside," he said. "You've done it, so trust in your own strength and try again." Seeing Hio no longer moving, Luffy thought he had died. Surprisingly, when Big Mom attacked, he immediately woke up. At this point, Luffy continued to be chased by Big Mom, causing continuous destruction to Udon prison. Suddenly, Queen woke up, making him furious. He decided to intervene and stop Big Mom once again. So, he promptly grabbed another pot of red bean soup to lure Big Mom. As she prepared to eat, she realized there was nothing in it, seeing her position, and so, Queen immediately jumped down and launched a powerful attack at Big Mom's head. Thinking that he had defeated her, they didn't expect Big Mom to regain her memory, saying, "I remember now." At this moment, Queen was trembling in fear, feeling as though he might wet himself. Even his most powerful attack couldn't harm Big Mom in the slightest. Thought he was about to be hit by Big Mom. Unexpectedly, Big Mom fell asleep before attacking him, which made Queen relieved. He quickly used seastone chains to restrain her, so, he immediately took Big Mom to Onigashima to hand her over to Kaido, while the prison warden ordered all the doors to be closed. With only Luffy left inside the prison, he decided to take over the prison and continue using the inmates to train his Haki. Realizing that his troops were powerless against Luffy, the prison warden threatened the other inmates, forcing them to capture Luffy. They understood that no matter how strong Luffy was, he couldn't stand against Orochi and Kaido. Suddenly, the deputy warden pulled out Queen's weapons and attacked them. It turned out that these were the disease-ridden bullets of his. When he was about to attack Luffy, Kawamatsu, who was imprisoned nearby, had also been liberated. With just a few strikes, he managed to defeat the guards. Seeing Kawamatsu safe brought joy to Kiku and Raizo, as the presence of the 9 red scabbards, together with Hio, the Yakuza boss, restored hope among all the prisoners. However, it turned out that Kiku was actually a man. At this moment, everyone started their attack to liberate the prison. Suddenly, the prison guards began using disease-infected bullets to attack them. Thanks to Luffy's observation Haki, they managed to avoid getting hit. However, many prisoners became infected with the disease, causing them to lose control and spread it to others. It turned out that this was a virus that turned the infected into mindless zombies. At this moment, they continuously blamed Luffy's group, because they indirectly turned them into this state. Making Luffy angry, he touched them, even embraced them with open arms. Despite the risk of getting infected himself, yet, Luffy scolded them without any hesitation. "Do you all just accept a life as slaves like this?" Even though he's just an outsider, Luffy is determined to save this country. Because of the meal Otama prepared for him, he firmly states, "I came here to defeat Kaido." He asks, "Are you on our side or Kaido's side?" This immediately caused everyone to burst into tears, and Hio realized that Luffy had gained the trust of all the people. Suddenly, the prison warden was about to fire a large plague cannon at them. Unexpectedly, Luffy managed to tie the prison warden's elephant mouth shut. This immediately caused him to explode. At this moment, everyone began to stand with Luffy's side, rising up against the prison guards. Eventually, they managed to take control of Udon. However, Luffy had been heavily infected by the disease. Kid then asked Luffy, "Are you planning to challenge Kaido again?" Luffy replied, "Do you want to join in?" However, Kid declined and left. Kid collected all the metal in the cell and transformed it into a massive iron arm, using it to smash through the door. He was resolute in his determination to exact revenge against Kaido. While Luffy was poisoned, Chopper had to immediately prepare medicine for him. However, when the others discovered that Luffy was a pirate, they expressed opposition. So, Luffy urged Momonosuke to courageously step outside, emphasizing that he was the son of Oden, the one destined to lead Wano country in the future. However, Momo was still feeling fearful. So, Luffy grabbed a rock and pretended to threaten him to run out. Unexpectedly, as soon as they saw Momo, everyone fell to their knees in reverence. Momo realized they were bowing under the shadow of his father's legacy. But Momo continued to make an effort, calling out to everyone, "Let's together reclaim Wano country." This brought joy to the people, and they listened to his call. On Zoro's side, he was engaged in a battle against the group of ninjas to protect Hiori. Despite this, his main goal was still to retrieve his third sword. Hiori promised to help him find his sword. Eventually, Chopper successfully formulated the antidote, which promptly restored Luffy to good health. So he continued his training in Rio alongside Hio to prepare to defeat Kaido. On Zoro's side, he was in pursuit of the sword thief and engaged in a fight with him. This time, Zoro was well fed, making it easy for him to overpower the thief. However, the thief stubbornly refused to return the sword to Zoro. Suddenly, Kawamatsu rushed in to intervene and halt the battle between the two. So, Hiori immediately recognized him. Meanwhile, Big Mom confronted Kaido. But unexpectedly, Kaido asked her to free her grip on him. It turned out that they were former comrades, both part of the same pirate crew. Surprisingly, right after releasing her grip, Big Mom immediately grabbed a weapon. Intending to engage in combat with Kaido, the two Yonko unleashed their conqueror's Haki and clashed, causing the sky over Onigashima Island to split in two. At this moment, both Yonko continued to fiercely battle, causing the entire island to tremble as if it were on the brink of collapse. On the other hand, Otama attempted to use her ability to tame the prisoners by giving them her Kibi Dango. Surprisingly, her efforts succeeded, and she turned them into her followers. Everyone realized that Otama's power was the key to taming the beast pirates. Meanwhile, Kinemon managed to gather all the samurai together, and Raizo used a Den Mushi to inform him that they had captured Udon and gained an additional 3,500 people for their cause. On Hiori's side, she was overjoyed to reunite with Kawamatsu after searching for him for so long. It turned out that Kawamatsu had taken care of her since she was a child. Seeing how Kawamatsu always saved his food for her, even at the cost of his own hunger, Hiori decided to run away so as not to burden him any further. The sword thief was also happy to see Kawamatsu. Suddenly, Kaido's troops managed to track them down, so Kawamatsu and Zoro took action to deal with the enemy soldiers. At this moment, the thief quickly ran away, prompting Zoro to chase after him. Meanwhile, Kawamatsu recounted a legend to Hiori. 13 years ago, he had encountered an injured fox named Onimaru. He realized that this fox was a companion of a great swordsman and had been guarding the swords here. Seeing that the fox was severely injured, he decided to stay and take care of it, which made it very happy, and they became friends. Every day, they collected weapons in preparation for the battle against Kaido. Unexpectedly, during a food theft, Kawamatsu was caught, and since then, he had been imprisoned in the Udon prison. At this moment, the thief led Zoro to the storage house, where Kawamatsu and Hiori had also arrived. It turned out that this place was the fox's armory, and it had been collecting weapons for the past 13 years in place of Kawamatsu. Kinemon was worried that they might lack weapons, but Kawamatsu reassured him that they had enough swords for over 1,000 samurai, which made Kinemon very pleased. Meanwhile, Hiori wanted Zoro to return Yasui to Wano. In exchange, she offered to give Zoro the sword Enma that had been her father's. It was the sword that managed to wound Kaido. At Luffy's side, he was still undergoing intense training in advanced armament Haki. He relentlessly punched a piece of metal, causing it to soften under the force of his blows. Meanwhile, Kinemon's group was busy devising a plan for their battle against Kaido. Big Mom and Kaido had reconciled and were preparing for the upcoming fire festival. Suddenly, the two of them made a surprising announcement. The Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates were officially forming an alliance. At the same time, Zoro had managed to retrieve the Enma sword, one of Oden's two legendary swords. He decided to test this sword's power and was surprised to find that as soon as he unsheathed it, he infused it with Haki. With just one swing, he effortlessly cut through a solid stone wall. However, the sword's immense power was consuming a lot of Zoro's Haki, causing his arm to shrink temporarily. But quickly enough, Zoro returned to normal. Zoro realized the tremendous power of this sword and decided to train to master it. On the other hand, Luffy combined Gear 4 with advanced Haki, shattering the piece of iron with a single punch. However, he felt that it still wasn't enough, so he was determined to train harder. Meanwhile, Zoro continued to work on controlling Enma, while Chopper brought Luffy back to rejoin the group. Luffy was exhausted at this point. As the final battle was about to begin, everyone prepared to make their way to Onigashima. At this point, Luffy and all the samurai were prepared for the battle. However, the 9 red scabbards discovered that their ships had been destroyed, which left Kinemon in despair. Without these ships, their plan to advance to Onigashima Island would crumble. Nevertheless, even with only 7 members left, Kinemon's group remained determined to assassinate Kaido. It was at this moment that Kinemon realized that there must be a spy within their group. To their astonishment, the traitor turned out to be Kanjuro. It was he who had relayed all their plans to Orochi, leading to the destruction of their ships. This made Kinemon unable to believe that his close friend had betrayed him. It turned out that Kanjuro had been living a life of deception since childhood, as he had been saved by Orochi and served him alone. Suddenly, Kaido's troops appeared and encircled them. This immediately provoked Kinemon's anger, and he struck at Kanjuro. But it was merely a clone of him, while the real Kanjuro was actually behind them, capturing Momo. So, Kaido's troops launched an attack on them while they were unsure of what to do. Suddenly, Luffy's group appeared and attacked Kaido's troops. Both Law and Kid also arrived at this moment. The 3 worst generation captains were now together, which rekindled Kinemon's hope because Luffy's group had arrived in time to help them. However, Kanjuro couldn't understand why they were there, because he had already reported all the plans to Orochi, so that he could go and destroy all of the Straw Hat Crew's ships. It turns out that the Sunny ship was constructed by Franky using atom wood. Therefore, regular bombs wouldn't be able to destroy it. At this point, they continued to attack the Sunny, but they were intercepted by Nami and Sanji's group. Luffy was puzzled about the absence of the 4,200 samurai. So Kinemon explained to him the story of Kanjuro's betrayal. They also revealed that today was the celebration of the alliance between the two emperors, which shocked everyone. But Luffy felt very excited about it, and he even competed with Law and Kid, determined to be the one to defeat Kaido and Big Mom first. So, all three of them charged forward to attack Kaido's troops. Law teleported their ship into the sky. While Kid was attracting metal towards himself, Luffy activated Gear 4, and the three of them together destroyed the enemy ship. Suddenly, Kiyoshiro's ship appeared, and Kanjuro thought that reinforcements had arrived. Unexpectedly, he drew his sword, and he directly sliced their ship into 2 pieces. This left Kanjuro astonished, while Kinemon was also bewildered by what was happening. Then, Kiyoshiro revealed that he was indeed Denjiro, another member of the 9 Red Scabbards. It turned out that after Oden's death, Denjiro had experienced great sorrow, which led him to change his appearance and become a spy alongside Orochi. He had also prepared enough ships to bring the 4,200 samurai to their location and had gathered an additional 1,200 warriors. This brought their total army to 5,400. Thanks to this, it helped the whole group regain their determination to fight against them. While Luffy and Kid were still competing to attack Kaido's troops, Kanjuro, furious, was about to escape. Unexpectedly, Kawamatsu immediately arrived to intercept him. But Kanjuro still managed to capture Momo and take him away. At this moment, Sanji immediately pursued him. So, he spun his hair, creating a cloud of black ink. He obstructed Sanji and attacked everyone. Momo realized that he still couldn't be as strong as Oden, but he reassured everyone not to worry and to focus on defeating Kaido and saving Wano. This made Luffy very happy, and he promised, "Wait for me, Momo, I'll come to rescue you." On the enemy's side, they still had 1 ship and continuously used long-range cannons to attack the samurai's ship. While Denjiro was worried, an unexpected column of water smashed through the enemy ship, leaving Luffy wondering who had intervened. It turned out to be Jinbei. This immediately brought joy to Luffy's group, because, in the end, Jinbei had finally arrived. So, everyone was overjoyed and ran to embrace Jinbei. At this moment, Jinbei officially became the Straw Hat Crew's helmsman. While Kinemon's group was discussing their plan to attack Kaido, they saw Luffy's group destroying the enemy's gates. With just 1 Red Hawk attack, Luffy defeated all the soldiers, leaving all the samurai amazed at the Straw Hat Crew's incredible strength. On Orochi's side, he was frolicking with the girls and remained oblivious to what was happening. As for Kaido, he was instructing his soldiers to summon his son to come to him. He wanted his son to meet with Big Mom to discuss a significant matter. At this moment, the Tobi Roppo had arrived. They are the 6 commanders ranked just below Kaido's all-stars. As for Luffy's group, they had found a lot of alcohol from the enemy soldiers, so they decided to drink together. While Kinemon was also very resolute, they were determined to win this battle and regain control of Wano country. Suddenly, Luffy decided to place his drink on the ground. It turned out he wanted to celebrate the victory with the people of Wano. So, everyone also decided to place their drinks on the ground and proceeded towards Onigashima Island. At this point, Kid still wanted to compete with Luffy to see who would defeat Kaido first. Eventually, they all arrived at Kaido's territory. Suddenly, 3 enemy soldiers spotted them. So, Usopp immediately launched an attack that made them faint. However, Kinemon ordered everyone to destroy the ship because they were ready to give their lives in this battle. Witnessing the unwavering spirit of the samurai, the Luffy group became even more confident in them. Kinemon then used his devil fruit powers to create a portal, to disguise the samurai as Kaido's soldiers. Kid also went through the transformation, even though it slightly compromised his image, but he could still fight Kaido, and that was what mattered. Luffy was quite thrilled and eagerly embraced the opportunity to cosplay. So, everyone was now prepared and ready to infiltrate Kaido's banquet. Kinemon and Denjiro would infiltrate the castle from the rear. Meanwhile, Luffy and Kid's group entered directly through the main entrance. When Kid didn't follow the plan, Luffy decided to chase after him. However, upon entering, they came across Kaido's soldiers feasting. Meanwhile, Zoro also followed Luffy, and while they were waiting outside for Franky to retrieve secret weapons, Zoro noticed that these people were casually drinking alcohol and making fun of the people of Wano who couldn't even find clean water to drink. He immediately unleashed Haki, causing them to pass out. Luffy, upon seeing them comfortably eating meat and mocking the Wano citizens, was reminded of Otama, who had shared her food with him. They even wasted the food and spilled all the red bean soup on Luffy. While Otama was happy with just a bowl of red bean soup, at that moment, they even kicked over the red bean soup pot right in front of Luffy. This infuriated Luffy, and he used Gear 3 to defeat all these foolish guys. Suddenly, Kid saw Luffy taking action first. That made him quite excited as well. Zoro, on the other hand, used Enma to release his Haki and sliced through the entire tower, putting an end to these guys feasting for good. On Kaido's side, the 6 Tobi Roppo have gathered together and were instructed to find Yamato, Kaido's son, and bring him here to prepare for an important announcement that he is about to make. At this moment, Luffy and Zoro were still causing chaos at the banquet. Suddenly, Apoo noticed that something was amiss, and he realized that it was Luffy. He decided to inform Queen about this discovery. Both of them knew that it was time to fight, so they decided to attack together, leaving Queen puzzled about how Luffy managed to escape from Udon prison. At this moment, he declared, if anyone could capture Luffy and Zoro, he would nominate that person to become a Tobi Roppo. This fired up the soldiers. Kid found Apoo. He was furious because Apoo had betrayed the alliance last time. That's why Kid was brought here by Kaido. At this point, Apoo used sound to attack Luffy and Zoro, leaving both of them confused about why he could attack them. So, they decided not to transform anymore and faced them head-on. However, no matter how far they got from Apoo, he could still attack them. Seeing Luffy and Zoro being held back by Apoo, Kid immediately gathered metal to transform into a giant iron arm. He then punched Apoo in the face, surprising Queen, who didn't expect Kid to also escape from prison. At this moment, Kid began to interrogate Apoo because he had revealed their location to Kaido. Apoo then counterattacked Kid in an attempt to escape. When Kid was about to gather more metal, a giant suddenly appeared and attacked him. Kid was caught off guard, and that's when Luffy jumped in to help him. Luffy told Kid that they didn't have much time left. The important thing now is to conserve energy for the battle against Kaido. So they all ran together. Unexpectedly, Apoo continued to attack them covertly. This made all 3 of them angry because he kept obstructing them constantly. So Killer immediately told everyone to cover their ears. It turns out that as long as they don't hear his sound, they will be fine. So they all continued to move forward. On Kinemon and Chopper's side, they were infiltrating the castle from behind. Suddenly, Big Mom spotted Chopper, which frightened him. Big Mom's children were still trying to cross the waterfall because they couldn't believe that Big Mom had allied with Kaido. They thought they could succeed this time. However, another bird suddenly appeared, and it turned out to be Marco the Phoenix. So, he kicked them, causing them to fall again. It turns out that Nekomamushi had informed Marco to come here because he wanted to protect Luffy, in accordance with the wishes of Whitebeard and Ace. On Kaido and Orochi's side, they saw Kanjiro returning, and he brought Momo back to them. Luffy, at this point, had been separated from Zoro. Seeing these soldiers continuing to chase him, he took care of all of them. At this moment, Big Mom recognized Chopper as a member of the Straw Hat crew. Chopper and Usopp immediately turned the car around, diverting Big Mom's attention elsewhere, allowing Kinemon's group to continue advancing. Orochi, on the other hand, realized that Luffy's group and the 9 red scabbards had infiltrated the castle, which filled him with fear. Orochi immediately decided to proceed with the execution of Momo. Luffy decided to continue using Kaido's subordinates to practice Ryu. Suddenly, Ulti and Page 1 appeared, surprising Luffy. He doesn't know who this crazy girl is. Ulti asked, "Who are you?" Luffy replied, "I am the one who will become the Pirate King." This made her angry because he was being so bold while inside Kaido's castle. So, Ulti immediately flew up and attempted to headbutt Luffy. Therefore, he headbutted her in response, causing the floor beneath Luffy's feet to give way and collapse. At this moment, Ulti and Page 1 decided to unleash their ancient Zone Devil fruits, transforming into 2 massive dinosaurs. But Luffy remained unharmed and immediately jumped up. He realized he had been careless because this was a Yonko stronghold. So, he decided to fight them alone. Luffy then grabbed Ulti's horn and threw her away. Afterward, he punched Page 1, knocking him to the ground. Seeing her brother being hit, Ulti became furious and transformed into a dinosaur to capture Luffy. At that moment, as she was about to deliver a powerful headbutt to Luffy, suddenly, a person wielding an iron mace ran towards them. He immediately used Thunderclap 8 trigrams, and struck ulti directly, knocking her out on the spot. To Luffy's surprise, the person who intervened said, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." When Luffy was still dazed and didn't understand what was happening, he suddenly grabbed Luffy and ran off, letting him know, "I am Yamato, Kaido's son." Chopper and Usopp were driving away while shooting at Big Mom, but they still couldn't stop her, so they were caught up by Big Mom. When Big Mom was about to use her devil fruit power to take the souls of both Chopper and Usopp, Prometheus informed her that he had found Zeus. This caused Big Mom to leave, sparing Chopper and Usopp and leaving them relieved to have escaped death. The Nami group realized that Big Mom was approaching, so they quickly ran away. Meanwhile, on Robin and Jinbei's side, they saw Orochi preparing to execute Momo, which made him very excited, because by killing Momo, Wano country would lose its hope. When Luffy heard that Yamato was Kaido's son, Luffy immediately ordered Yamato to stop. At that moment, Luffy was attacking Yamato, thinking that he was an enemy. However, Yamato only wanted to talk to Luffy. Suddenly, Luffy used his fiery punch, which reminded Yamato of Ace. So, Yamato asked Luffy for 10 minutes to talk. Meanwhile, Orochi was proclaiming his intent to execute Momo and referred to Toki, Momo's mother, as a witch for sending Momo and the 9 red scabbards 20 years into the future. Jinbei, Robin, and all the other samurai were forced to laugh along with them at that moment, unable to reveal their true feelings. On the other hand, Law was sailing around the castle from the back. He used his devil fruit power to teleport the 9 red scabbards into the castle through the rear entrance. Surprisingly, Marco was also bringing Nekomamushi with him. When they saw Izo, it made Kiku very happy because Izo is Kiku's older brother. Finally, the entire group was assembled, determined to assassinate Kaido. While Orochi was preparing to execute Momo, Kaido suddenly appeared behind him and announced his plans for the new Onigashima project. Yamato had already told Luffy that 20 years ago, he witnessed the legendary moment of Oden and coincidentally found Oden's logbook. Yamato read the entire logbook and learned a lot about the world. Since then, Yamato decided to become Kazuki Oden. However, when Yamato took off the mask, it surprised Luffy because it turned out that Yamato was a woman and she revealed that she had met Ace. That surprised Luffy, and he learned that Yamato had met Ace. It turned out that Ace had come to Onigashima to challenge Kaido, but he only met Yamato, and the two became friends. Ace shared a lot about Luffy with Yamato during their time together, on the side of the 9 red scabbards. When they were about to enter through the door, Kanjuro, the traitor, blocked their way. Kanjuro even recounted how he had tortured Momo, further fueling the anger of the 9 red scabbards, so they resolved to deal with him. The 9 red scabbards easily dealt with Kaido's soldiers. As for Kiku, she decided to have a battle with Kanjuro. Kiku questioned if everything he had done with them was just an act, to which Kanjuro admitted that it was all a performance. So, Kiku drew her sword to confront the traitor. Nami's group was captured by Big Mom, who was determined to retrieve Zeus. Yamato wanted to leave the island, but she was restrained by Kaido, and if she left, the shackle would explode. Surprisingly, Luffy said, "I can help you unlock it." At this moment, they heard Kaido announce that the Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates would form an alliance. Suddenly, Big Mom also appeared, with a bounty of 4,388,000,000 berries. So both Yonko announced that they will obtain the One Piece treasure, which excited their crews greatly. Surprisingly, Kaido delivered important news to Orochi. "This land of Wano will be mine." This infuriated Orochi, who kept cursing Kaido as a deceitful traitor. Therefore, Kaido drew his sword and struck Orochi, forcing him into eternal silence, causing everyone to be frozen in shock. As for Momo, he was being threatened by Kaido. Suddenly, Luffy and Yamato fell from the ceiling. Luffy told Yamato to lead the way to rescue Momo. On Kiku's side, she was still fighting against Kanjuro. Despite him continuously drawing headless samurais to block Kiku, she still overwhelmed him. Surprisingly, he started to act remorseful and apologized deeply, which shook Kiku's emotions. Seizing this opportunity, he secretly attacked Kiku. At this moment, Kiku made a decision and swung her sword to finish off Kanjuro, bringing an end to his wicked role. When Kinemon and Denjiro arrived, they were filled with sorrow because they had always considered Kanjuro a friend, and so, the whole group decided to continue their advance. Kaido then declared that he would move Onigashima to the flower capital, and the one who became the shogun of Wano country is Yamato. This made Yamato angry. While Luffy and Yamato were trying to run to where Kaido was, Kaido remembered Momo from 20 years ago. When Kaido threatened him, he still didn't dare to reveal his name. Kaido said, "Come on, tell me, kid, what's your name?" But this time, Momo was different. Thanks to the encouragement from Luffy and the memory of his great father, he found the courage to speak his name. He said, "I am Kazuki Momonosuke, the one who will become the shogun of Wano country." This brought joy to everyone. Luffy decided to remove the explosive handcuffs from Yamato, who initially believed that Kaido wouldn't be cruel enough to attach explosive restraints to her. However, when they actually detonated, it made her furious, realizing that Kaido indeed intended to kill her. As Yamato was about to declare war against Kaido, Luffy stopped her. Understanding that the current moment was not the right time for their battle, suddenly, the 9 red scabbards appeared from behind, catching King and Jack by surprise, leaving them no time to react. The entire group then advanced to attack Kaido. To their astonishment, the swords wielded by the 9 red scabbards pierced through Kaido's iron-like skin, intensifying the pain of his old wound inflicted by Oden. Kaido quickly realized that the 9 red scabbards had learned Ryu. Much like Oden, they managed to bring him down to the ground. Seeing Kaido defeated, all the samurai decided to remove their disguises and give their all in the battle against them. Ulti has found Yamato. It turns out she is still very angry for being defeated by Yamato earlier. Suddenly, Big Mom sees Luffy, which makes her furious and say, "Finally, I've found you, Straw Hat." So, she immediately attacks Luffy, and Luffy retaliates using Gear 3. However, Big Mom still completely overwhelms Luffy. At this point, Nami and Carrot have managed to escape. So, Nami is determined to retrieve Zeus and finally manages to locate him. This terrifies Zeus, leaving him unsure of which side to stand with. On Kinemon's side, they are still trying to hold Kaido down, hoping to defeat him this time. Surprisingly, Kaido easily blew them away. Big Mom was asking Luffy, "Do you think you can defeat me?" Luffy replied, "I don't just think I can defeat you. I'll defeat Kaido and all his subordinates too." This statement excited Yamato, and she realized that she wanted to stand side by side with Luffy and accompany him on his journey, helping to boost the morale of all the samurai. While Zoro, Kid, and Law were still dealing with Kaido's troops, Queen received news from outside that Marco and Perispero had formed an alliance. It turned out that he didn't believe that Big Mom would ally with Kaido. At this moment, Kaido heard Luffy's declaration of war, so he transformed into a dragon and flew up to the ceiling, accepting their challenge. While Kinemon's group was still following, Kaido decided to use the 9 red scabbards as a warm-up. Suddenly, all the Mink tribe warriors appeared to provide support. It turned out that today was the full moon, which would help them transform into their Sulong forms, increasing their combat power. This excited Kaido even more. Suddenly, one of Kaido's all-stars, Jack, appeared. This made Inuarashi furious because Jack had destroyed his Mink tribe in the past. So, they all began to transform into their Sulong forms. Jack transformed into his devil fruit form, the mammoth, but he didn't expect that the fighting power of the Mink tribe had greatly increased by this point. At this time, Momo is being monitored by King and Queen, but Shinobu attempted to rescue him discreetly. She then used her devil fruit power, the aging ability, to rust and weaken the chains. They thought they were close to rescuing Momo, but unexpectedly, King noticed them. He promptly grabbed Shinobu and threw her away. Suddenly, Momo's chains were cut, and he was lifted into the air. When King attempted to attack, he was intercepted. It was Sanji who had turned invisible to rescue Momo. He then handed Momo over to Shinobu so that he could engage in a battle with King. However, King proved to be extremely powerful. He managed to block all of Sanji's attacks and then transformed into a dinosaur to chase and capture Sanji, and he struck Sanji, causing him to fall straight to the ground. At this point, Luffy told Yamato to go protect Momo. As she left, Big Mom continued to provoke Luffy. With just one swing of Big Mom's weapon, that attack pierced through the castle and even split the surface of the sea, causing fear among all the samurai. This is the power of the Yonko. When she summoned Zeus, she was surprised to discover that Zeus had been taken away by Nami and had fled. So she managed to retrieve Zeus and forced him to attack Nami immediately, causing Nami to scream in fear, saying, "I hate you, Zeus." Fortunately, Frankie and Brook appeared just in time and rammed their vehicle straight into Big Mom's face. As for Brook, he cut Zeus in half, which made Nami very happy because she was saved. So Luffy was reassured and could proceed to the rooftop to fight Kaido. At that moment, while Yamato was still being pursued by Ulti, she decided to defeat Ulti once again. Eventually, Yamato found Momonosuke, which made them both cautious because they didn't know who Yamato was. Fortunately, Luffy arrived and informed them that Yamato was an ally. When Luffy left, Yamato claimed to be Oden, which confused both Momonosuke and Shinobu since Oden was a man. As a result, they decided to continue running away. As Big Mom regained her composure and was about to continue her attack, a group of enormous creatures suddenly appeared. They were revealed to be the numbers created by Kaido. Seeing them capturing Chopper and Usopp, Franky immediately used his laser to shoot at them. When Big Mom attempted to sneak attack Franky, she was swiftly caught by Jinbei and thrown to Robin. They rolled her outside the castle. Meanwhile, at the top of the dome, even though the Mink tribe had been powered up, they were still not a match for Jack. So, the dog and the cat decided to transform into their Sulong forms, which made Jack start to feel a bit afraid. Unexpectedly, they moved very quickly, and in the blink of an eye, they were already in front of Jack. As for Luffy, he was still trying to find a way to the top of the dome. By chance, he bumped into Zoro, so he decided to go with Luffy. However, when they flew up, Queen immediately extended his neck to bite them, causing him to throw them back to the ground. Franky at this point has reassembled General Franky to battle the numbers. Sanji, on the other hand, has recovered thanks to the resilient Germa 66 suit, so he is not injured. At this moment, Luffy's entire crew has regrouped and decided to support Luffy in flying back to the rooftop one more time. Meanwhile, who is informing Queen, in the 6 Toby Roppo, there was a traitor, and it turned out to be Drake. He was an undercover agent for the Navy. While Luffy's group decided to deal with these numbers, Luffy activated Gear 4 to engage in battle. Drake realized that he had been exposed and decided to make a run for it. However, as soon as he stepped outside, he bumped into Luffy. So, he immediately knocked out 2 of the numbers together with Luffy. Because Drake remembered that Kobe once said Luffy was amazing, so he decided to form an alliance with Luffy, which surprised Luffy. When Drake tried to explain, Zoro immediately attacked him because they didn't trust Drake, but surprisingly, Luffy decided to trust him, which infuriated the others. Luffy continued running towards Kaido, and suddenly, Page 1 appeared and attacked them, so Usopp quickly shot pepper spray into his mouth. This made him angry, so he decided to deal with Usopp first. Realizing the danger, Nami hurriedly ran ahead to be safe. While Zoro was fighting with Drake, he realized that Drake was still hiding his true identity. This made Zoro unable to trust him. Suddenly, Apu appeared, which infuriated both Zoro and Drake, and they attacked him. Queen, on the other hand, used his 6-barrel gun to shoot at them and the samurai. Drake realized that these were indeed his disease-inducing Ice Oni bullets. He continued to shoot others, causing the samurai to turn into ice demons. He even shot his own subordinates. As for Big Mom, she had been taken outside the castle. When she intended to continue inside, she encountered Perispero and Marco. At this point, he still couldn't believe that his mother was in an alliance with Kaido, but she said that everything was indeed true. It turns out that Big Mom is only trying to use Kaido to obtain One Piece. On the other hand, when Inuarashi and Nekomamushi transformed into their Sulong forms, they were able to easily overpower Jack and defeat him, forcing Kaido to intervene. As Jack is one of his loyal all-stars, Marco realized that they were the enemies, so he unleashed his devil fruit powers to attack Big Mom. At the same time, Kaido was about to attack Kinemon's group. He immediately sliced Kaido's fireballs in half. Even though he could have hit Kaido, he did not weaken. When Kinemon's group continued to advance, Kaido attacked them again. They didn't give up and continued to run towards Kaido to strike him with their swords. But no matter how they attacked, it was like a mosquito bite to him. At this point, the Kinemon group continued to stand up and fight back against Kaido. They all unleashed their most powerful techniques, surprising Kaido as they were able to cut through his tough skin. When Kaido was about to breathe fire towards them, Raizo used a ninja technique to absorb all of Kaido's flames and countered him with his own fire. Surprisingly, Kaido remained unharmed. They decided to use the Twin Blades technique, recalling Oden's technique, and launched an attack on Kaido. Despite Kaido continuously shooting flames at them, they managed to dodge and even block his flames. This made Kaido feel like he was seeing Oden again. They managed to strike Kaido's scar, causing it to bleed and hurt the most. However, even though they thought they had defeated Kaido, he was still not weakened. It turns out that Kaido was just reminiscing about his disappointing battle with Oden. The attacks of the 9 red scabbards were like mosquito bites to him. So, Kaido released a sharp, sword-like gust of wind, which severed one of Kiku's arms. On Zoro's side, They are being attacked by those who are infected with the Ice Demon virus. Chopper realizes that if they let those infected with the Ice Demon virus touch them, they will also become infected. Meanwhile, as Shinobu is trying to escape with Momo, then they were discovered and attacked by Kaido's troops. Despite her injuries, Shinobu is determined to protect Momo. When they were about to capture Momo, Yamato rushed in to confront them, gaining Momo's trust. On Chopper's side, they were still fighting against the Ice Oni while dealing with the contagious virus that Queen had released. They all started losing control, causing many samurai to also become infected. Chopper was determined to create a cure to save everyone. On Kinemon's side, seeing Kiku lose one arm, he used his flame sword to cauterize the wound and stop the bleeding. Despite the intense pain, Kiku, showing great determination, continued to stand and fight. Witnessing the resolve of the 9 red scabbards, Kaido decided to revert to his human form to conclude the battle. At this moment, the samurai who were infected by the Ice Demon virus were considering self-termination. However, Hio encouraged them to trust in Chopper, believing that he would find a way to save them. On the other hand, Queen felt that things were not hot enough yet, so he continued to shoot his Ice Demon bullets at both the samurai and his own subordinates. Zoro realized that the more they fought these infected individuals, the more frenzied they became. Suddenly, Queen spotted Appu attempting to flee and came up with a new game. He tossed Appu the only antidote for the Ice Demon virus. Within 1 hour, if they didn't get the antidote, they would all die. So everyone chased after Appu to obtain the antidote. Meanwhile, Marco was still battling Big Mom, and unexpectedly, Marco's flames could overpower Big Mom's. As the flames of a phoenix were quite unique, suddenly, Big Mom captured Marco while Zoro and Drake were attempting to catch Appu to get the antidote for everyone. Chopper realized that the Ice Oni virus was causing a drop in body temperature and, to his surprise, he got infected as well. Meanwhile, Nami was still being pursued by Ulti and Page 1. They insulted Luffy, calling him an arrogant brat because they believed that the true Pirate King was undoubtedly Kaido. This made Nami and Usopp angry, so they got into a heated argument with them. However, both of them were still being pursued by the enemies. Nami was caught by Ulti, who forced her to retract her earlier statement. However, Nami managed to fight back and send Ulti flying, but she was still uninjured and immediately jumped to headbutt Nami. Seeing Nami in danger, Usopp immediately fired at Ulti. Unexpectedly, Ulti jumped up and headbutted him, causing him to faint. However, hearing her continued bragging, Usopp craftily created a carnivorous plant that captured her. Suddenly, Page 1 also appeared. No matter how they attacked, Usopp couldn't penetrate their tough skin, so he was headbutted by Ulti once again, causing his bones to break. At this point, she turned to Nami and forced her to say that Luffy could never become the Pirate King, despite being very afraid. Knowing that one more headbutt from Ulti could kill her, Nami remained resolute and refused to betray her captain. She declared, "Luffy will become the Pirate King," which infuriated Ulti even more as she intended to punish Nami. Luckily, Otama arrived in time to rescue Nami. On Marco's side, he was about to be ambushed by Parasparrow when Carrot rushed in. Seeing the Candyman enemy filled her with anger and the desire for immediate revenge for Puro. Both of them transformed into their Sulong forms and attacked Parasparrow, targeting his eyes. This made him angry, thinking that Puro's death had nothing to do with him. Suddenly, Big Mom threw Marco back towards them because she wanted to return to the castle immediately. So, Marco continued to chase after them inside the castle. Otama had already taken Nami and Usopp to safety. On Yamato's side, she was using her own body to shield and protect Momo. When Yamato was about to unleash her devil fruit power to fight against Sasaki, General Frankie appeared with a giant and disrupted Sasaki's armored forces. This inadvertently created a large hole leading down to the lower floors, prompting Yamato to realize it was an opportunity to get Momo to safety. Before leaving, she delivered a powerful blow to the giant to assist Frankie in defeating him. Now, it was just Frankie and Sasaki left in the battle. On Kid's side, he was collecting all the metal within Kaido's castle in preparation for a brutal battle with Kaido. At that moment, Inu and Neko rushed to attack Kaido, but he easily sent both of them flying into a wall and caused them to lose their Sulong forms. When Kaido was about to deliver a decisive blow to finish them off, they all teamed up and attacked Kaido together, but he only needed to swing his iron mace lightly to send the whole group flying. Seeing that they wouldn't give up, he began to torture them, causing the entire castle to shake. Meanwhile, Big Mom was flying towards Kaido. Suddenly, Zoro noticed that Kiku's arm had fallen off. and he realized that something had happened. He saw the samurai gradually turning into Ice Oni. Zoro knew that they were running out of time, so he immediately rushed to attack and defeat Apu, reclaiming the antidote. So he handed it over to Chopper to concentrate on advancing to the top of the castle, while Sanji and Jinbei were assisting Luffy in running up to the roof. Sanji accidentally used Haki and heard a girl calling for help. Sanji immediately followed his heart and rushed to her aid. However, as soon as he broke through the door, he fell into a trap set by Black Maria and her gang. Sanji had been captured, but even in captivity, he couldn't resist his fondness for women. On Chopper's side, he informed everyone that fire could be used to slow down the spread of the ice demon virus while he worked on making the antidote. Queen became irritated and tried to shoot Chopper, but Zoro managed to intercept him. Suddenly, Onigashima Island began to shake, leaving everyone puzzled. Marco then appeared and asked Zoro if they needed his assistance. While Yamato was taking Momo outside, she suddenly noticed that the entire Onigashima Island had been lifted into the sky by Kaido. It turns out Kaido intended to move it to the flower capital. Meanwhile, Marco, knowing that his flames could slow down the spread of the Ice Oni virus, used his flames to help everyone regain consciousness. So Chopper had more time to work on synthesizing the antidote. This made Queen furious, and he ordered his subordinates to capture Chopper. In response, everyone gathered to protect Chopper. Jinbei and Luffy are getting very close to Kaido, but suddenly they are surrounded by a group of gifters. Jinbei decides to stay behind to hold them off and let Luffy continue advancing. However, he encounters one of the Tobi Roppo members. On the other hand, Frankie is in a battle with Sasaki, who transforms into a three-horned ancient dinosaur, and they begin their fight. Yamato has told Momo about the first time she met Ace. It turns out that Ace came to Onigashima to defeat Kaido, but only Yamato was inside the castle at that time. They fought each other for a long time, and Ace realized that Yamato deeply hated his father because Kaido had imprisoned her and kept her captive on this island since childhood. Yamato couldn't do what she wanted and felt trapped. From that moment on, they became close friends, and Ace shared a lot about Luffy with Yamato, which made her very interested in him. Suddenly, when Momo and Shinobu found out that Yamato is Kaido's child, it frightened them. However, they continued to trust her. On Otama's side, she also told Nami about Ace, but she questioned why Luffy could talk about Ace's death so casually. So Nami explained to her that Ace was Luffy's older brother and died right in front of him, which surprised Otama, because she realized that Luffy was even more in pain than she was. At this moment, Queen's henchmen were surrounding Marco, and they attempted to stab him. However, they were shocked to find out that Marco was immune to physical damage. He then transformed into his Phoenix Zone Devil Fruit form to act as a shipper and carry Zoro to the top to confront Kaido. Suddenly, King and Queen appeared to block his way. In response, Marco grabbed their heads and kicked Zoro up to the castle's peak so he could focus on battling the two of them comfortably. Meanwhile, Big Mom had also found Kaido. As the 9 red scabbards were defeated, Luffy was running as fast as he could, heading straight towards the peak of Onigashima Island. Kid had also reached Kaido's location. When Kid was about to face the two Yonko all by himself, at that moment, Law and Zoro also arrived, and Law wondered where Luffy was. Finally, he appeared before Kaido and Big Mom. Suddenly, Luffy continued to move forward. He advanced closer to where they were standing. They thought Luffy would declare war on them, but Luffy surprised them by passing right by both of them because he saw that the 9 red scabbards had already been defeated right in front of him. At this moment, Kinemon pleaded with Luffy, saying, "Please help us save Wano country." Suddenly, Kaido jumped in to attack Luffy, so he used Ryu and delivered a massive fiery punch directly to Kaido, knocking him to the ground. Even Big Mom was surprised that Kaido was injured by Luffy's punch. Kid didn't know what kind of Haki Luffy was using at this point, so Zoro explained to him, "It's called Ryu, a type of Haki that can damage the opponent from the inside." Even Kaido was surprised at how rapidly Luffy had progressed, because in their previous encounter, he had defeated Luffy with just one strike. In the world, only figures like Shanks, Oden, Whitebeard, Roger, and Rocks are among those who can stand up to Kaido. So this time, he wants to see if Luffy is worthy of fighting him. Thus, both of them released their Conqueror's Haki. Luffy foresaw Kaido's attack and tried to dodge, but he was still injured and bleeding from the head due to Kaido's incredible speed. Suddenly, Big Mom also arrived to attack him. So, Zoro immediately ran to split Prometheus in half. Kaido continued to jump in, intending to attack Luffy once more. Fortunately, Law managed to teleport him away in time. It turns out Law was angry because Luffy had given him orders to teleport the Kinemon group downstairs again. So Kid took the opportunity to taunt them, and the three of them started arguing. Suddenly, Big Mom continued to attack. So Luffy challenged them, saying that whoever dodged her attack would be the loser. Even though he knows it's foolish, both of them join in, leaving Zoro utterly frustrated with these three fools. Surprisingly, they aren't hurt much, and Zoro teases Killer for being defeated by him earlier. However, Killer explains that he didn't use his weapons during their previous encounter. So, both of them rush to attack Kaido, but they still can't penetrate his tough skin. At this point, Luffy decided to unleash Gear 4, while Kid gathered all the metal and created a gigantic metal robot. Law, on the other hand, released his devil fruit powers. They all joined forces to attack Kaido. Luffy continuously threw 3 punches that sent Kaido flying. Kid used his 2 robot arms to squeeze him, and Law shifted massive stone blocks to attack Kaido. However, all these attacks seemed like mosquito bites to Kaido, so he released his devil fruit power and transformed into a dragon. Kaido took flight and started blowing wind like blades attacking everyone, so the group had to dodge and continue their ascent. Luffy immediately jumped and gave him a punch. Kid also leapt in to attack. Law searched for Kaido's internal organs to deliver an electric shock from the inside. Then Killer stripped off Kaido's protective scales. Suddenly, Big Mom launched a sneak attack on him, so Luffy rushed over to deliver a kick to save him. When Kaido was about to shoot fire at Luffy, Zoro quickly dashed over and split his flames in 2. He decided to pour all of his Haki into Enma's blade, making Big Mom feel the strength of that attack. Kaido, on the other hand, saw the image of Oden and immediately dodged it. Then Big Mom unleashed a continuous stream of lightning strikes at them, but this move couldn't harm Luffy. Even Kaido's fire couldn't affect him. So Luffy rushed in and delivered a powerful punch to him, causing Kaido to fall to the ground again. They all thought he had been defeated. When Luffy was about to unleash his finishing move, he realized that he had reached his limit as he had run out of Haki. Big Mom recognized that this was the moment to finish off Luffy, so Zoro immediately took Luffy and ran away, while Law teleported to Big Mom and electrocuted her. Meanwhile, Kid and Killer were planning to finish off Kaido, but to their surprise, he had regained his composure. It turned out that Luffy's attacks were like mosquito bites to him. Kaido then rolled up into a destructive whirlwind, causing everyone to be swept into the sky. Seizing this opportunity, Kaido swallowed Luffy whole, so Zoro immediately released all of his Haki into Enma and used his 3 sword-style techniques to rescue his captain. He sliced through Kaido's tough skin, causing him to vomit Luffy out. At this point, Kaido realized that the sword was Oden's. He continued to use his wind scythes attack against the group. In another room, the CP0 agents were still monitoring the battle. Currently, the samurai side had 5,400 people, while the beast pirates had a whopping 30,000. Finally, the rampage of the wind scythes came to an end, leaving everyone battered. Suddenly, they saw Kaido transform into his human beast form, his most powerful state. On the other hand, Otama had devised a plan. She sent Speed to lure Kaido's gifters with kibi dango, a special type of dumpling she had prepared by squeezing her cheek. When the gifters consumed the kibi dango, they would become her subordinates. On Chopper's side, they were still working on creating the antidote. Suddenly, Marco's flames began to lose their effect, and an enemy approached Hio. On Frankie's side, he was still battling with Sasaki. Suddenly, he was restrained by the gifters. So, Sasaki took the opportunity and tried to strike Frankie. Luckily, Tama led her army of gifters to the scene, so they immediately helped Frankie escape. Unexpectedly, the sisters, Ulti and Page 1, reappeared. When she tried to headbutt Nami, she immediately got an electric shock. Meanwhile, Frankie punched Sasaki and unleashed his laser sword to strike him down, while Sanji was still being tortured by Black Maria, forcing him to call Robin over because she is the only one who can decipher the ancient language. On King's side, there is Bao Huang, who possesses information-related abilities, so he can communicate and know the entire situation of the battle. She saw the 9 Red Scabbards group being teleported to a room. At this moment, Hio is suffering from the Ice Oni affliction, and unexpectedly, it helps him revert to his previous form. Black Maria is still relentlessly attacking Sanji, trying to force him to call for Robin's help. They thought Sanji was a resilient person who would never betray his friends. But unexpectedly, he shouted loudly, "Save me, Robin-chan." This surprised them all. At this point, everyone could hear Sanji's voice, and they were underestimating him, but only his comrades understood that Sanji's weakness was women. When Black Maria was about to continue attacking Sanji, Robin immediately appeared and gave her a strong slap in the face. This made Sanji very happy that Robin had come to his rescue. At the same time, Brook also appeared to save Sanji, so Sanji promptly left because he knew he couldn't win here for sure. As for Robin, she decided to fight against Black Maria because Sanji trusted her. On Luffy's side, they witnessed Kaido's most powerful human beast form, which surprised them all. Suddenly, Luffy asked Zoro for help to buy him some time, so Luffy decided to take a nap. Meanwhile, Jack was getting very angry and determined to find the 9 red scabbards to seek revenge. Bao Huang noticed that someone had treated their injuries. On Black Maria's side, she decided to engage in a battle with Robin. At this moment, Hiori, despite being affected by the Ice Oni disease, experienced a significant increase in his strength, which frightened Apu's subordinates. Suddenly, another group of people attacked, but Hiori easily dealt with them. Hiori thought of Luffy and believed that he had mastered Ryu, which would surely enable him to defeat Kaido and save Wano. While Luffy was still sleeping to recover his strength, Kaido and Big Mom continued to attack him. So, Zoro and Kid both tried to protect Luffy. Finally, Luffy woke up and decided to engage in a battle with them. While Hiori was being attacked by Queen, Marco instantly kicked into his mouth, silencing him. Then, King also came to attack Marco, but he didn't back down. He stood alone against both of Kaido's all-stars, but he was gradually getting exhausted. At this point, Chopper had completed the antidote, so he immediately decided to test it on himself first. While Hiori was reaching his limit and losing control, he instructed his subordinates to kill him for an honorable death, causing them great distress. At that moment, Chopper had finished crafting the antidote and rushed to intervene. He gave Hiori the antidote, successfully curing him of the Ice Oni affliction. This brought great joy to everyone. At this moment, Chopper had prepared a large cannon and fired the antidote directly into the midst of the battlefield. This action successfully cured both the samurai and Queen's subordinates of the Ice Oni affliction. Queen became furious at Chopper for disrupting his plans, and when he attacked Chopper, Queen's subordinates turned against him to protect Chopper. Marco immediately rushed to control Queen, so Chopper ate a candy and turned into a giant to punch Queen straight in the face. On Kinnamon's side, as they regained consciousness, they were shocked to see an Oden double. They couldn't believe their eyes, because they couldn't believe that their Oden was still alive. He explained that it was Toki who had brought him to the future. However, Ashura suddenly realized that he was a fake Oden and attacked him. It turned out to be a decoy of the traitor Kanjuro. Suddenly, Kanjuro stabbed him, angering the group for falling for his deception once again. Kanjuro was actually looking for Momo to harm him. Meanwhile, Momo was hiding under Yamato's robe as they continued to advance into the castle. Luffy's group was still facing both Yonko, and despite continuous attacks from Kaido, Luffy kept getting up. At this moment, the fake Oden had prepared a bomb to attack Kinnamon's group, so Ashura pushed him out to save everyone. The bomb then exploded, causing great pain as they lost another comrade. Therefore, they were determined to find Kanjuro for revenge. They were taken by surprise to encounter the likes of Jack. Seeing that he had defeated his subordinates, Inuarashi ordered the rest of the group to go ahead while he faced Jack alone. In another room at the same time, it turns out that Orochi was still alive and he set fire to Kaido's castle. Despite being struck by Kaido, Orochi's devil fruit ability allowed him to survive with up to 8 lives. On Luffy's side, Kaido and Big Mom had started to unleash their Haki and launched a tremendously powerful combined attack, directly clashing with Luffy's group. Suddenly, Zoro jumped in alone to block that attack, ensuring the safety of the group. However, Zoro was seriously injured in the process, which made Luffy furious. Luffy then continued to use Ryu and landed a direct punch on Kaido, forcing him to dodge. On the other hand, the 9 red scabbards accidentally encountered Orochi. This made him very angry because Kinnamon's group kept clinging to him. Orochi then unleashed his devil fruit power, and they all teamed up to attack him together. At this point, Kinnamon had also defeated the unscrupulous Orochi. On Luffy's side, he was fighting Kaido alone, and despite Kaido's overwhelming strength, he couldn't defeat Luffy. He continued to stand in front of Kaido, and both emperors, Kaido and Big Mom, continued to attack them together, which made the entire group continuously receive blows. At this point, Kaido continued to mock Kinnamon's group, which infuriated Zoro. He launched an attack, but Luffy immediately intervened. Using his Ryu and delivering a powerful punch to Kaido, Luffy declared, "I will defeat you, Kaido." Luffy immediately unleashed Conqueror's Haki and engaged in direct combat with him. However, they were caught off guard as Big Mom attacked them sneakily, prompting Zoro to step in and intercept her. At this moment, both Kid and Law were supporting Luffy, so they threw him directly at Kaido. Luffy then delivered a fiery punch to Kaido, but Kaido remained unfazed and counterattacked. Meanwhile, Kid and Law managed to capture Zeus. Zoro blocked Big Mom's Prometheus, while Killer needed to deal with Napoleon. Seeing her three homies being controlled, Big Mom became furious and punched Kid in the face, but he managed to lift her into the air. Law and Zoro immediately pushed her down into the sea. Their plan was to separate Big Mom and Kaido, but since Zeus was trapped by Kid, they couldn't rescue Big Mom, and she ended up falling into the sea. However, Prometheus was being obstructed by Zoro. Unexpectedly, Luffy had been defeated by Kaido at this point, so he rushed to help Prometheus. He immediately ran to the sea to rescue Big Mom. Fortunately, he managed to pull her ashore. At this point, she blamed Zeus for being too useless. Prometheus took advantage of the opportunity to ask Big Mom for a girlfriend in place of Zeus, and she agreed. While Kaido had defeated Luffy and was about to finish him off, Zoro spoke to Law. "This is my final move. If I fail, it's up to you from here." Zoro then unleashed his full Haki and used Asura. He rushed forward and attacked Kaido with incredible speed, managing to injure him. This surprised Kaido, who turned to Zoro and asked, "Do you also possess Conqueror's Haki?" However, at this point, Zoro was completely exhausted, and he noticed a new scar on his chest. This angered Kaido, and he attacked Zoro. Law rushed to help but was knocked out by Kaido. Suddenly, Luffy regained consciousness, and Big Mom extracted a portion of her soul and placed it within the clouds, creating a new homie. This increase in power frightened Kid. As Big Mom's strength grew, she then unleashed a powerful attack that hit Kid, causing the entire castle to tremble. Kid and Killer were thrown inside the castle and were unexpectedly attacked by Hawkins. This angered Kid. As Hawkins had betrayed him once before, Killer decided to confront Hawkins to allow Kid to continue his pursuit of Big Mom. Hawkins then released his devil fruit power to engage in a battle with Killer. Kaido spoke, saying, "If you were to join me, you could rule the world." In response, Luffy declared, "I will definitely defeat you and save this kingdom." Suddenly, Luffy recalled the teachings of Hio and realized that when Kaido attacked, he had infused his attack with Conqueror's Haki. Kaido said, "So, you noticed, you still can't defeat me," and with that, Kaido launched another attack against Luffy. So, Luffy began to release his Haki, and surprisingly, this time he was able to block Kaido's attack without even touching his iron mace. He then moved forward and delivered a powerful punch to Kaido, causing him to stagger back and fall to the ground, leaving Law astonished at Luffy's newfound strength. That's when he asked Law to take Zoro down below, because this time, he was determined to defeat Kaido for sure. On Big Mom's side, she unleashed a powerful attack at Kid, unintentionally freeing Zeus in the process. Law realized that he couldn't allow Zeus to return to Big Mom, so he immediately used his devil fruit power to relocate Zoro and Zeus to another place. Meanwhile, Kaido has regained consciousness, making Luffy feel very excited. Eager to continue using his newfound power, Kaido also feels delighted, so both of them continue to infuse Conqueror's Haki into their attacks and clash with each other, causing the entire Onigashima island to shake. On Nami and Usopp's side, they are still being pursued by Page 1, so they keep attacking him relentlessly, beating him up. At this moment, Otama wants to continue creating Kibadango to tame Kaido's subordinates, even though she is exhausted. However, Nami and Usopp stop her, because they still hold on to hope. Suddenly, Page 1 realizes that Otama is the reason behind the gifter's betrayal. When he tries to capture Otama, Nami immediately intervenes, and Usopp bombards him with explosive bullets. They thought they had won, but to their surprise, he remains unharmed. So, they all continue to run away. On Big Mom's side, she is still searching for Kid. Unexpectedly, she accidentally stumbles upon Nami's group, causing Nami and Usopp to be scared out of their wits. But when Big Mom sees Otama, she suddenly becomes very friendly and affectionate towards her. Prometheus realizes that whenever Big Mom interacts with children, she becomes like a mother figure to them. At this moment, Big Mom asks Otama about the people in the impoverished village who fed her red bean soup. Otama replies that the village was destroyed by Kaido's subordinates, which infuriates Big Mom, leading her to unleash her Haki. Accidentally, Page 1 rushes in, intending to attack Nami's group. In response, Big Mom delivers a powerful punch, knocking Page 1 down to the ground. As Ulti arrives, she witnesses her younger brother being defeated. On Luffy's side, He is still battling with Kaido. Luffy keeps throwing a continuous barrage of punches at him, but Kaido manages to block them all. Then, Luffy immediately uses Gear 3 and infuses it with Conqueror's Haki. Even though Kaido tried to block it, he still got hit by Luffy's attack. This greatly pleases Kaido as Luffy has become much stronger now. On Sanji's side, he is carrying Zoro on his shoulder. While Zoro was injured and wrapped in bandages all over his body, it turned out that Law instantly teleported to Sanji's location. He then handed Zoro back to Sanji, not knowing how to administer first aid as he was a cook, not a doctor. As a result, Sanji tightly wrapped Zoro with bandages, making him look like a mummy. Suddenly, Sanji caught sight of 2 members of the 9 red scabbards. He should continue moving forward with them. At this moment, when Ulti saw Big Mom daring to attack her brother, it made her furious. She immediately charged in and attacked them all. So, she quickly rushed towards Nami and Usopp's group and used her ability to headbutt them, causing them to fall to the ground. Ulti kept advancing towards Otama and struck her in the face, which immediately angered Big Mom. Nami was feeling really frustrated because Ulti dared to attack Otama. So, Nami immediately rushed in to attack Ulti. At this moment, she was determined to take care of Ulti once and for all. On Luffy's side, he was still fiercely battling Kaido, continuously landing hits on him. This made Kaido angry, prompting him to use the technique, Thunderclap 8 trigrams, and sent Luffy flying. Unexpectedly, this time Kaido acknowledged Luffy because he realized that Luffy was also enjoying the fight. So, Luffy charged again and used Gear 3 to deliver an incredibly powerful punch to Kaido. However, Kaido also released his Haki and retaliated against Luffy. Unexpectedly, Kaido was still stronger and sent Luffy flying once again. At this moment, Kaido said, "You should give up, you won't change anything." However, Luffy paid no attention to Kaido's words and continued to charge at him, attacking relentlessly. Despite taking a powerful blow straight to the head, Luffy still tried to stand up and retaliate against Kaido. Luffy declared, "I will definitely defeat you and save Wano country because I am the one who will become the Pirate King." On Nami's side, she managed to anger Ulti, who immediately rushed to grab her. Surprisingly, Ulti even turned to taunt Big Mom, insulting Otama as nothing more than a bratty kid with a milk-stinking mouth. As a result, Big Mom became furious and combined all 3 of her homies. She then unleashed an incredibly powerful attack on Ulti. Ulti instantly defeated. At this moment, while they were planning to take Otama and leave, Nami noticed Zeus standing in a corner. She realized that Big Mom had just created a new homie. On Luffy's side, he continued to unleash powerful punches on Kaido. But Luffy's punches were nothing more than mosquito bites to Kaido. So, Kaido hit Luffy with a powerful blow, sending him flying. Seeing Luffy lying face down on the ground, Kaido continued to approach him and relentlessly struck him with his club. Finally, he unleashed an exceptionally strong attack. Kaido said, "Is this your limit?" He was surprised to see that Luffy still stood up and even managed to laugh in front of him. Kaido became very excited. Both of them continued to release their Haki and attack each other. Unexpectedly, Luffy was struck by an incredibly powerful blow from Kaido, sending him flying off Onigashima Island. While Kaido was disappointed that Luffy had been defeated, he noticed that Luffy fell into the sea. At this moment, he left and said, "So, you are not Joy Boy either." On Big Mom's side, she directly stated that she no longer needed Zeus. She ordered Hera to eat Zeus. It turns out that Big Mom couldn't retrieve her own soul. As a result, she could only give Zeus to Hera to increase her power, causing Zeus to suffer and struggle in pain. Suddenly Big Mom turned to Nami's group to snatch Otama away. It turned out that she intended to take care of Nami and Usopp without harming Otama. Big Mom chased after them, causing both Nami and Usopp to flee immediately. While Zeus was also trying to escape, he apologized to Nami for what he did before, but Nami couldn't forgive him. So, Zeus decided to sacrifice himself to help Nami's group escape. So, Zeus immediately unleashed a lightning attack aiming directly at Big Mom. However, to everyone's surprise, she easily caught him by the neck. It turned out that Zeus had run out of energy. Realizing that Zeus was about to be swallowed, Nami decided to have him eat, but she couldn't do it in time. Hera ended up swallowing Zeus whole. On Yamato's side, they were trying to run quickly towards Onigashima Castle. Meanwhile, Momo was reading his father's logbook, which Yamato had given him. With this logbook, Momo came to know all about Oden's adventures, including his journey with Pirate King Roger in search of the poneglyphs, from the Sky Island to the Fishman Island, and finally, to Zou, on the back of Zunisha. When they set foot on the last island, they learned the truth about the Void Century, spanning 800 years. Suddenly, Momo experienced a severe headache. At this moment, Hera had swallowed Zeus and even managed to grab Nami's sorcery Klima-tacked staff. Nami quickly pulled her staff back from Hera's mouth. Realizing that staying there any longer would be life-threatening, the whole group quickly ran away. Seeing that Otama didn't care about her and ran away, Big Mom became furious. She decided to take down all of them in her rage. Fortunately, Kid appeared just in time and managed to block her attack. This made everyone happy and relieved that they were saved. On Chopper's side, he was still battling Queen. Suddenly, Puro shot arrows at the samurai. So Chopper stepped up to shield them. He realized that his Rumble Ball's effects would wear off soon, and he couldn't maintain his monster point any longer. Chopper remembered Caesar's advice at that moment. He could help Chopper increase the candy's effects tenfold. While Chopper was worried about the side effects of the drug, Caesar immediately scolded him. If you keep fearing the side effects, you won't be able to protect your friends. As a result, Chopper decided to improve his candy. At this moment, Queen continued his attack on Chopper, extending his long neck and biting him. However, Chopper kept fighting back. Believing that Luffy would soon defeat Kaido, suddenly, Bao Huang announced to everyone that Luffy had been defeated by Kaido, leaving Chopper, Marco, and all the samurai shocked. The rest of Luffy's crew heard the news and couldn't believe that their captain had been defeated. Meanwhile, the Beast Pirates were overjoyed at the news of Luffy's defeat. While Momo was still suffering from a severe headache, at the same time, Kanjuro continued to disguise himself as Oden and approached Momo. Seeing his father, Momo became happy. But Kinemon and Kiku recognized that the person before them was actually Kanjuro in disguise. When Kiku charged in to attack the fake Oden, they were taken by surprise as Kanjuro impaled him with a sword, and Kanjuro also began to reveal his true form. As this traitor was about to continue dealing with Kinemon, then Kinemon got angry and directly put an end to Kanjuro's role. As they were about to leave, Kaido appeared in front of them. Kinemon stood up to block Kaido and let Momo escape. Kaido hit him with a very powerful attack. Meanwhile, Luffy was still sinking in the sea, and Chopper couldn't believe that Luffy had lost. All the other samurai were in shock as well. Outside, Kaido is still carrying the island of Onigashima to the territory of Wano country. While Chopper is still sitting and crying, Puro shoots many arrows into the middle of the battlefield. Queen was about to attack Chopper when suddenly Sanji appeared and kicked him straight in the face, causing Queen's head to spin like a top, accidentally blocking the incoming arrows, and he flew back towards Puro. At this moment, Sanji told Chopper not to cry because Luffy is always the one who creates miracles. He then entrusted Zoro to Chopper to prepare for a fierce battle with Queen. On Kinemon's side, he still didn't give up and was determined to stop Kaido to protect Momo. This made Kaido angry, and he drew his sword to stab Kinemon through his body. Momo managed to capture a frog, which was used for communication by Bao Huang. It turned out that he had heard Luffy's voice, so, Momo regained his composure and conveyed to everyone, Luffy is still alive, and he will immediately come back to defeat Kaido. Instantly, he helped everyone to regain their spirits and boost their fighting will to defeat the Beast Pirates. Suddenly, Kaido appeared and continued to chase after Momo, so both of them were knocked out of the castle by Kaido. He said that the brat Luffy had no chance of defeating him, but Momo still believes that Luffy will defeat Kaido, which made Kaido furious and he attacked Momo. As a result, both of them were sent flying off Onigashima Island. On Nami's side, they were shocked to discover that Zeus was still alive and had merged with Nami's sorcery Klima-tacked. It turns out that when Zeus was swallowed by Hera, he was absorbed into Nami's sorcery Klima-tacked. At this moment, the whole group noticed Bao Huang, who is an informant for Kaido's crew. Suddenly, Ulti rushed forward and directly headbutted Usopp, so she continued to capture Otama. Knowing that Otama could control the gifters, so, Nami immediately ran over and used Zeus to transform into an iron mace to push her away. But she still didn't stop. Usopp immediately attacked Ulti to save Otama. On Kid's side, he was planning to face Big Mom alone when Law also arrived to join in the fun and proposed forming an alliance with Kid. In another room, CP0 was still monitoring the course of the battle. Meanwhile, underwater, Law's teammates had found Luffy and immediately proceeded to rescue him. Yamato, on the other hand, had located Kaido. As they lifted Luffy to safety, they noticed his stomach was inflated like a ball. So, the tall guy immediately jumped on Luffy's body to help him vomit out the water. Meanwhile, Momonosuke and Shinobu are still falling down. Then, Shinobu transforms into a kite and carries Momo to the solid ground. Both of them realize that Onigashima Island is approaching Flower Capital. On the other side, Nami notices that Usopp has rescued Otama from Ulti's grasp. She summons Zeus and creates a powerful lightning bolt to attack Ulti. But Ulti manages to dodge it. Surprisingly, she is still pursued by Zeus and gets electrified. In the end, Nami successfully defeats Ulti. Usopp realizes that Bao Huang is the informant of the Beast Pirates. Then he immediately attacks, summoning a carnivorous plant to defeat Bao Huang. As for the other members of the Straw Hat crew, they are still busy fighting the Tobi Roppo. Suddenly, the gifters who ate Otama's Kibi Dango arrive. At this moment, Otama realizes that everyone is still struggling in the battle. She steps forward and commands the gifters to form an alliance with Luffy to defeat Kaido. Surprisingly, upon hearing Otama's command, the gifters immediately change sides and turn to attack Queen. As of now, Otama is their new master, and they obey her orders without hesitation. On Yamato's side, she have found Kaido. Yamato expresses the desire to sever the parent-child relationship with him. This immediately angers Kaido, and he releases his devil fruit power to force Yamato to obey him. But this time, she was determined to defeat Kaido. Yamato immediately used Thunderclap 8 trigrams to attack Kaido. On the side of the gifters, they turned against Kaido, surprising Jinbei and the others. Meanwhile, Queen remained unaware of what had happened, but he realized that Otama was the cause. As he was about to blast her with a laser, Sanji swiftly intervened and delivered a powerful kick. Queen then transformed into his strongest form to face Sanji in a fierce battle. Meanwhile, Chopper suffered from the side effects of the Rumble Ball, turning him into a child. At this moment, Chopper discovered that Zoro had sustained 20 broken bones and couldn't continue fighting. However, Zoro was determined to keep on fighting. The mink doctor told them that their tribe possesses a powerful regenerative medicine that could instantly restore Zoro's strength for battle. However, the side effects would make Zoro experience double the pain. Despite that, Zoro didn't hesitate. He urged the mink doctor to inject the medicine into him immediately. On Jinbei's side, he was facing off against a Tobi Roppo member named Hu. When Hu drew his sword and attacked Jinbei, then Jinbei immediately punched back at him. Suddenly, Hu leapt up and used his 6 powers technique to strike back at Jinbei. He immediately recognized that this technique was from the world government's special agents, and Jinbei also remembered that there was a former member of CP9 who escaped from prison. Hu then unleashed his devil fruit power, transforming into a tiger with sword-like fangs. He revealed that 13 years ago, he was indeed a CP9 member, highly regarded like Lucci. During a mission to protect the Gomu Gomu devil fruit, the legendary treasure of the world government, he was unexpectedly defeated and robbed by the red-haired Shank. The current possessor of that devil fruit was none other than Luffy. Being incarcerated for losing the devil fruit, Hu turned into a pirate and harbored deep hatred for both Luffy and Shank. This led him to attack Jinbei in a fit of rage. Although Jinbei managed to block the attack, his hand started bleeding. While Hu was imprisoned, Luffy consumed the Gomu Gomu fruit and rose to fame among pirates, which fueled Hu's hatred towards Luffy even more. He believed that Luffy would never be able to defeat Kaido, as Law's crew is trying to treat Luffy. Jinbei firmly believes that Luffy will come back and says, "I won't allow you to touch my captain." Ever since Jinbei met Luffy at Impel Down, and then during the rescue of Ace, and when he saved Fishman Island, Jinbei decided to join the Straw Hat crew and view Luffy as my captain. At this moment, Hu keeps using tooth bullets to attack Jinbei, but Jinbei effortlessly dodges them all. So, he immediately inflated his muscles and activated Haki, deciding to fight fiercely with Jinbei, who rushed forward to attack Jinbei. But Jinbei managed to block and throw him down to the ground. Surprisingly, Hu still wanted to continue chatting with Jinbei. When he was imprisoned, he heard a legend about the sun god Nika, an ancient hero who freed slaves. He believed there were similarities between Jinbei's fishman heritage and the legend, so he wanted Jinbei to tell him about it while he kept attacking Jinbei continuously. However, Jinbei, angered by this, broke 2 of Hu's fingers. No matter how much Hu attacked, it felt like mosquito bites to Jinbei. Jinbei then used Fishman Karate to deliver a powerful blow, defeating Hu. Meanwhile, Yamato was still engaged in combat with her father, Kaido, who was continuously forcing her to follow his ideology. However, Yamato was determined and believed that Luffy would come back soon. She decided to unleash her devil fruit power. On the other hand, Sanji was still fighting against Queen. Queen kept shooting lasers at him. but Sanji swiftly moved and dodged all the attacks. At this moment, the doctor decided to inject medicine into Zoro, enabling him to return to the battle once again. Franky was still fighting Sasaki. Realizing that Sasaki was difficult to deal with, Sasaki transformed into his human beast form to fight Franky. Despite using her devil fruit power, Yamato was still overpowered by Kaido. It turned out that Kaido had no intention of giving Yamato the devil fruit, but Yamato mistakenly ate it due to hunger. Sasaki launched himself with a spinning sword, intending to deliver a finishing blow to Franky. So, he rushed in to attack Franky, making him step back. At this moment, he continued to spin the propeller on his neck and charged towards Franky, attempting to pierce through his mech with his horns. However, to his surprise, he was caught by Franky and immediately thrown to the ground. Defeating Sasaki, on Luffy's side, after they tried to administer first aid, he eventually regained consciousness, but the first thing he said was that he wanted to eat meat. Meanwhile, Franky continued to duel with Sasaki. Unexpectedly, he shattered Franky's sword. Franky pretended to flee, luring Sasaki to follow and using a recoil cannon attack similar to the Sunny ship. However, Sasaki remained unfazed, so Franky jumped out to give him another blast of laser. On Kaido's side, he revealed that Yamato's devil fruit is the mythical zone-type devil fruit, which allows Yamato to transform into a mythical wolf. He then continued to charge at Yamato, in order to compel Yamato to obey and rule Wano country. But Yamato said, "I am Kazuki Oden, the one who will open up Wano country." She then created ice projectiles to attack Kaido. Vive, Kaido Ngay Lap Tuk Fong Ra Mo Luong Lua De Nan Chan Yamato. Meanwhile, Robin fell into Black Maria's trap, facing her childhood memories and an illusion of her lost mother. However, Robin also realized that it was just an illusion, so she immediately used her devil fruit power to dispel the illusions and defeat the enemies. Black Maria realized that the illusions had no effect on Robin and Brook, so she decided to pursue them herself. At this moment, Black Maria continuously attacked both Robin and Brook, using fire to pressurize them. Brook discovered that Black Maria's staff had a soul. Therefore, Brook immediately used his soul fruit power, causing Black Maria's staff to be frozen. Brook also froze the room to extinguish the fire. At this moment, Black Maria claims that Sanji betrayed Robin by luring her into the trap. But Robin knows that it was because Sanji trusted her, and because Sanji would never strike a woman. So, Robin unleashed her devil fruit power and created a giant clone to grab Black Maria. However, when attacking with those giant arms, Robin got injured too. Black Maria then attempted to use poison to defeat Robin, but Robin managed to avoid it. Black Maria continued shooting her threads to capture Robin. On Luffy's side, he was being fed meat by Law's group. Despite having eaten all the food on the ship, Luffy still felt hungry. Suddenly, Momo heard Luffy's voice and rushed over to him. He then told Luffy the heartbreaking news that Kinemon had been defeated by Kaido. Seeing Momo crying inconsolably, Luffy became annoyed and scolded him, saying, "You're the future shogun, aren't you? Why do you keep crying all the time?" Thus, Luffy helped Momo regain his spirit, but he was still very hungry. Nearby, Caribou accidentally spotted Luffy and realized that if he let Luffy lose, he would also be in trouble, so, he decided to share all of his food with them. On Robin's side, she was still being controlled by Black Maria, but she refused to give up. Black Maria started to torture her, causing Robin intense pain. However, Robin didn't back down and used another technique to attack Maria. But Maria was able to block it. Black Maria managed to capture Robin again and continued to punch her in the face, taking pleasure in tormenting her. Meanwhile, Brook remained calm as he dealt with Black Maria's subordinates. He understood that Robin was preparing for a serious battle with this woman. At this moment, Robin remembered the time 2 years ago when she was training with the Revolutionary Army. Koala wanted to teach Robin karate, while Sabo wanted to teach her Ryusoken. So, Robin decided to learn from both of them, making them very happy. At this moment, Robin decided to employ the karate that Koala had taught her. She struck straight at Black Maria, but her attack missed. Unexpectedly, Robin's real target was the ceiling. This turned out to be a technique she learned from Sabo, causing wooden beams to fall and extinguish all of Maria's fire. Surprisingly, Black Maria was now terrified as she saw Robin transform into what seemed like a demon. Robin then transformed into numerous arms and captured Black Maria. She said, "Because my teammates need me, I can transform into a demon for them." With determination, Robin used all her strength to break Black Maria's bones. eventually achieving victory. Meanwhile, outside the battle, Brook took care of the rest of Black Maria's subordinates. At Luffy's side, thanks to Caribou's food, he managed to recover. As for Momo, he asked for Shinobu's help. He asked her to use her devil fruit power to help Momo transform into an adult. Only then can he transform into a large dragon to take Luffy back to Onigashima Island. But Shinobu refused because if he does that, he won't be able to turn back to his small form again. On the castle side, many Topi Roppo have been defeated, and the people of the Flower Capital are still happily celebrating the festival, unaware that Kaido is bringing Onigashima to their location, while Luffy is getting as round as a ball. But with just one breath, he can digest everything. Meanwhile, Shinobu, upon seeing Momo's determination, agreed to use her devil fruit power to help Momo transform into an adult. On the other side, killers seemed to be overpowering Hawkins, but due to Hawkins' ability to transfer damage to others, he remained unscathed. Meanwhile, Kid was gathering all the metal around him to confront Big Mom head-on. Unexpectedly, Kid was struck by a slash, and it turned out that Hawkins had transferred the damage to him, as he wanted to see Killer kill his own captain. When Big Mom was about to finish off Kid, Law intervened to block her attack, but Kid refused to give up. Continuing to attract metal, Kid fought against Big Mom. Sanji was still locked in combat with Queen when, to his surprise, King also arrived to join the attack. Now, he found himself facing both of Kaido's top commanders alone, because they were too strong. As a result, Sanji was knocked away and crashed into the wall. It turned out that Marco had reached his limit, so he couldn't hold King anymore. As Queen was about to finish Marco off, Sanji immediately rushed to kick him away. Meanwhile, Puro was planning to attack Sanji by surprise, but he unexpectedly got smacked out by Nekomamushi. On the other hand, King has located Chopper's group, while Sanji is trying his best to fight. Zoro has not regained consciousness yet. At this moment, King is about to take them all down, but fortunately, Marco returns in time to stop him. It turns out that thanks to his incredible regenerative ability, Marco can recover quickly like that. At this moment, Marco revealed King's true identity as a member of an ancient race with the ability to produce fire. It turns out that he was stalling for time, as he noticed that Zoro had recovered. When Queen fired a laser beam at Marco, Zoro finally returned to the battle. Zoro swiftly parried the attack with just one slashing strike. At this moment, both Zoro and Sanji unleashed their Haki and charged at King and Queen with incredible speed, delighting their entire team. But King and Queen quickly got back on their feet in front of them, while the other samurai watched with concern. After all, King, Queen, and Jack were known as the All-Stars, the strongest forces of Kaido. Jack was the drought, Queen was the plague, and King was the conflagration. Despite the intimidating titles, Kuhio still believed that they could win the battle. Suddenly, King launched an attack on Sanji, so Zoro immediately stepped in to block him. Queen continued his assault on Zoro, but Sanji swiftly kicked him away. Queen realized that Sanji was a member of Germa 66. Hearing this name reminded him of his accursed family. This made Sanji furious, and he immediately struck back at Queen. Zoro also quickly attacked King, but he managed to block and punch Zoro back. At this moment, Zoro realized that King wasn't a swordsman. Meanwhile, Hio recognized that Zoro was somehow connected to Yushimaru, the legendary samurai, Ryuma, because he is also a one-eyed samurai. Just like Zoro, while Zoro and Sanji fiercely fought on, Kid and Law were still at the mercy of Big Mom's overwhelming power. She continued to release her Conqueror's Haki, subduing both of them. On Yamato's side, things weren't any better, constantly being pushed back by Kaido's relentless attacks. Inuarashi was still battling Jack. Even though Jack had transformed into his strongest form, he was still overpowered as Inuarashi grabbed his elephant trunk and hurled him outside. It turns out that Inuarashi's purpose of going outside was to trigger his Sulong transformation. Likewise, on Nekomamushi's side, he also transformed into Sulong to deal with Puro. At this moment, on Luffy's side, they witnessed a massive, fearsome dragon appearing, which terrified everyone. However, Luffy realized that it was none other than Momo. Shinobu had used her devil fruit power to age Momo into a 28-year-old young man. Luffy was thrilled because Momo could now fly him back to search for Kaido. As Momo flew up, he became afraid of heights, which led to both of them tumbling down. While Yamato was still being pummeled by Kaido, the latter kept reproaching Yamato for idolizing Oden and not obeying him. It turned out that since childhood, Yamato had always wanted to leave the island. Suddenly, Yamato activated the Conqueror's Haki, It caused Kaido's soldiers to faint. However, Yamato was continually captured and brought back by Kaido because Yamato always identified as Oden himself. As a result, Kaido decided to imprison Yamato together with the 3 samurai lords of Wano. It turned out that Kaido had starved them, intending to break their will and force all 3 of them to join the beast pirates. He only provided them with a limited amount of food. Yamato kept thinking that they would be killed. Unexpectedly, they gave their portion of food to Yamato, making them very happy. As a result, Yamato showed the 3 samurai lords Oden's logbook and asked them to teach them how to read it. Yamato learned about Oden's entire journey through this logbook. The 3 samurai lords realized that Yamato genuinely wanted to protect Wano, so they decided to sacrifice themselves in the fight and entrusted the future of Wano to Yamato. At this moment, Yamato was determined to defeat Kaido and reclaim freedom for Wano. So, both Yamato and Kaido continued to use the Thunderclap 8 trigrams technique. On Luffy's side, they noticed that even though Momo had grown in size, his soul was still that of an 8-year-old boy. Hence, Luffy pulled Momo's eyes, forcing him to fly up into the air. While Yamato was able to block Kaido's attacks and even made him bleed, Yamato transformed her club into ice and unleashed a powerful strike against Kaido, causing him to bleed even more. This attack forced Kaido to crash into the ground. At this point, Kaido became furious and released his Haki to discipline this rebellious daughter of his. After escaping from prison, Yamato had to constantly hide and endure hunger and thirst. Fortunately, there was a kind soldier who brought food for Yamato. However, the next day, the soldier was executed by Kaido, intensifying Yamato's hatred towards him. As a result, Kaido continued to overpower Yamato, as their difference in strength was too vast. While Luffy managed to get Momo to fly up, despite Momo keeping their eyes tightly shut, they were successful in getting Luffy airborne. Eventually, they caught sight of Kaido, but Momo was too scared to open their eyes, causing them to crash straight into the castle, surprising everyone who couldn't understand who this pink dragon was. And everyone also saw Luffy returning. Meanwhile, Kid and Law were still engaged in battle with Big Mom. Then they saw Luffy flying up into the sky. But in the end, Luffy also managed to fly up to the top of the castle. While Yamato was preparing to deliver a decisive blow to Kaido, Luffy and Momo also caught sight of him. They immediately joined the fight, and Luffy switched to Gear 4 state. Together with Yamato, they unleashed a powerful attack on Kaido, sending him flying through several layers of walls and causing tremors atop the castle. Yamato was delighted to see Luffy return. However, Yamato was still unaware of the identity of the pink dragon. To their surprise, Kaido quickly returned and taunted Luffy, saying, "You are still alive, Straw Hat." Luffy responded to Kaido, saying, "How can I die? I'm the one who will become the Pirate King." Kaido was also curious about the pink dragon's identity. Upon seeing Kaido, Momo started to tremble as the memories of almost being killed by Kaido haunted him. But this time, Momo showed more courage and revealed his name, saying, "I am Momonosuke, the one who will become the ruler of Wano." On Dog and Cat side, they were fighting fiercely against Jack and Puro. Suddenly, the moon was covered by clouds, causing them to lose their Sulong transformation. Taking advantage of this, Puro turned the tables on them. At this moment, Kaido didn't want 2 dragons to appear, so he was determined to deal with Momo. As Kaido was about to breathe fire on both Luffy and Momo, Luffy advised Momo to breathe fire as well. However, Momo didn't know how to breathe fire, so he could only dodge. Luffy told Momo, "If you can't shoot fire, then bite him." Luffy then activated Gear 3 and delivered a powerful punch to Kaido's head. While Momo was still filled with fear, the memory of his mother being killed by Kaido fueled his anger. Momo gathered his courage and charged at Kaido, determined to bite him, causing him great pain. Realizing that Kaido was about to breathe fire at Momo, Luffy immediately intervened and punched Kaido, stopping his attack. Luffy then said to Momo, "The one you bit is one of the 4 emperors. What else in this world can scare you?" Finally, Momo overcame his fear. Luffy said, "Go and stop Onigashima. I will definitely defeat Kaido." Everyone was delighted to see Luffy return, while Sanji and Zoro were still locked in combat with Queen and King. At this moment, Zoro said to Sanji, "It's time for us to fight for real." So, both of them immediately got serious and fought earnestly against their opponents. Meanwhile, Kaido transformed into his powerful, human beast form, the strongest state for combat, to face Luffy. Determined, Luffy also decided to go all out against Kaido. They both unleashed their Haki and charged at each other, causing the entire Onigashima island to tremble under the intensity of their clash. Everyone could feel the intensity of the battle on top of the castle, so fierce that it split the sky in half. Yamato noticed this phenomenon was similar to the fight between Whitebeard and Roger. Due to this, the moon revealed itself, allowing Inuarashi and Nekomamushi to regain their Sulong forms and turn the tables against Jack and Perispero. Meanwhile, Yamato jumped on Momo's back to help him in stopping Onigashima Island. Suddenly, Kaido attacked them, and Yamato swiftly returned to restrain him. Luffy also rushed in to capture Kaido, as he was determined to face him in battle. While Yamato and Momo were falling down, Yamato taught Momo how to create clouds. It turned out that dragons don't fly but rather use clouds to soar into the sky. Eventually, Momo managed to fly using this method. Meanwhile, Inuarashi and Nekomamushi regained their Sulong forms and decided to put an end to the two troublesome foes. They charged together and dealt with them decisively. At this moment, Momo had just learned how to create clouds, making him very happy. Suddenly, Yamato noticed a large number of rocks falling down and realized that Kaido's strength had decreased. Meanwhile, Luffy was still in combat with Kaido. Momo decided to use his head to push the island back since it was getting dangerously close to the capital. Yamato advised Momo to create even stronger flame clouds than Kaido's to stop the island. Yamato also revealed that there were many explosives inside the castle. If they didn't stop the island, the entire capital would be destroyed. While all the citizens remained unaware, they continued to celebrate the festival blissfully. On Zoro's side, he is still fighting fiercely against King. As for Sanji, he is continuously being attacked by Queen, which sends him flying and makes him think that he might have broken some bones. Surprisingly, Sanji feels completely fine, not even losing a single strand of hair. Zoro has used the three-sword style and immediately cut off one of King's horns, making him furious and unleash his devil fruit powers. King continuously swings his wings, attacking Zoro. Unexpectedly, that attack sent Zoro flying. But luckily, Frankie caught him. Zoro realized that King is very powerful. On Sanji's side, he is still being continuously attacked by Queen, but he realizes that his body is behaving strangely. At the same time, King has found Zoro and launches an attack on him. Zoro uses his three-sword style to block the attack, but he is once again sent flying. It seems like Zoro is about to fall off the island, but he manages to swing his swords in the air and propel himself back up. He is now ready to face King once again. On Momo's side, he is trying to create flame clouds, bigger than Kaido's, but he hasn't succeeded yet, so Yamato decides to enter the castle to deal with all the explosives inside. She releases her devil fruit power to climb into the castle. On another side, the CP0 agents are still monitoring the battle and informing Lucci. He says that if Kaido loses, the world government will take control of all of Wano. But the masked man named Gwenitsa still doesn't believe that Kaido can be defeated. Lucci instructs him to capture Robin because only she can read the ancient language, while Robin and Brook are running to gather with everyone else. Queen forces Sanji to hand over the Germa superhero suit to him. Making Sanji angry, Sanji continuously attacks Queen because Queen mentioned his ruthless and cruel family. Sanji then delivers a powerful flaming kick, sending Queen flying. Everyone thinks that they have defeated Queen. Unexpectedly, Queen remains unfazed, so he decides to unleash his special ultimate move. Suddenly, Queen separates his head from his body like a snake, surprising everyone. He grabs Sanji and starts squeezing him, intending to break all of his bones. Sanji is in intense pain, but he refuses to use the power of Germa. This angers Queen, who takes out two missile-like projectiles from his body and accidentally fires them at himself. This gives Sanji the opportunity to escape, but he is already weakened by the attack. Chopper is worried and plans to treat Sanji, but they are surprised to find that Sanji's body is very unusual. Despite his bones being completely broken, he can still move and even adjust his bones by himself. At this moment, Sanji realizes that he has awakened his dormant genetic modification. Just like them, when Queen tries to secretly attack Sanji with his sword, unexpectedly, his sword breaks. It turns out that since he was young, Sanji has always been considered a failed scientific experiment by his family because he couldn't awaken his genetic modification. However, in this battle, Sanji has awakened it. Meanwhile, Killer is still fighting against Hawkins. Hawkins wonders why Killer is laughing despite being injured. He then realizes that Killer has been forced to eat a faulty devil fruit by Orochi. Even he ends up laughing at Killer. Now, Hawkins stands still, allowing Killer to attack him. But Killer cannot retaliate because if he does, Kid will die. So, Hawkins attacks Killer to force him to fight back. While Kid is still injured, he persists in gathering metal to attack Big Mom. She retaliates by using Prometheus to strike Kid. Law immediately teleports him back. But suddenly Kid continues to feel pain. Law still doesn't know what problem Kid is facing. Big Mom unleashed her power to deal with both of them, but they managed to stand up again. Kid still couldn't understand why he was experiencing the headache. It turned out that Hawking was thrusting his head into the pillar himself. It caused Kid to be continuously injured. When Hawking said, "Everyone will die here," Killer replied, "Kid will never die here and become the Pirate King." As a result, Hawking became furious and continuously attacked Killer because he believed they would never defeat the Yonko. Killer continued to taunt him as a coward for submitting to Kaido's strength, which infuriated Hawking even more. At this moment, Killer realized the secret of Hawking. He immediately rushed to attack Hawking and cut off one of his arms. This action caused Hawking immense pain as he couldn't understand why he was getting injured. It turned out that Kid had already lost one arm. So, Killer managed to break Hawking's control over Kid and helped him escape from Hawking's manipulation. At this moment, Hawking decided to unleash his devil fruit power and transformed into a giant straw man to attack Killer. However, Killer easily blocked and defeated him in the blink of an eye. In the meantime, Kid finally got to fight freely. On Sanji's side, he surprised everyone by breaking Queen's sword without even using Haki. Queen realized that it was the technology of Germa. While Sanji was in shock, he feared that he might turn into a cold-hearted person like his siblings. At this moment, Queen continued to attack Sanji relentlessly, trying to force him to use Germa's superhero suit. However, Sanji refused to use it. On the side of the Otama group, they saw Kinemon's legs running around in a scattered manner. As it turns out, Kinemon's ability to run around with his separated body was a result of Law's previous actions. He was able to use this skill now. Kiku was in danger, so Kinemon asked them to quickly go and help Kiku. On Robin and Brook's side, they were discovered by the CP0 agents. Meanwhile, Kinemon was waiting for the others to come and assist. Suddenly, they noticed that Kanjuro was still alive and talking to Orochi. At this moment, Kanjuro used his last breath to draw a monstrous fire creature that set ablaze Kaido's entire castle. While Luffy was fiercely battling Kaido, Kid and Law were working together to defeat Big Mom. However, Big Mom had the support of 3 powerful homies, which made it easy for her to push back Kid and Law. At this moment, Kid realized that Law had not fully unleashed his devil fruit power yet. Knowing that Law had awakened his devil fruit as well, it turned out that both Kid and Law had awakened their devil fruits, but they were saving it for critical situations. They decided to combine their powers and unleash their ultimate moves. Kid released his power, gathering and manipulating all the metal around him, transforming into a gigantic robot. He immediately attacked Big Mom, but she countered with a powerful strike that sent Kid flying away. At that moment, Big Mom was about to finish off Kid. But Law activated the awakened power of his devil fruit. He enveloped his sword with his devil fruit ability. He extended his sword, stabbing through Big Mom's body, and immediately, he electrified her from the inside. Although it could injure Big Mom, she still remained unharmed. Suddenly, Kid also activated his devil fruit power, turning Big Mom into a giant magnet, attracting all the metal debris and even large iron pillars towards her. With the combination of Law's power, they unleashed an immensely powerful attack on Big Mom, causing everything to collapse around them. Everyone was surprised by the overwhelming strength they displayed. But unexpectedly, Big Mom was still alive, which made her even more furious because they dared to insult a Yonko. So, Big Mom unleashed her devil fruit power, sucking out the lifespan of the Kaido's soldiers who were nearby, and Big Mom summoned back her homies. At this moment, she continued sacrificing 1 year of her lifespan to enhance her power and transform into a giant. Big Mom said, "So you want to take my position as a Yonko, huh? Then let's see what you've got." However, Kid and Law showed no fear and were determined to fight her to the end. At this moment, Sanji still firmly refused to use the Germa suit. Suddenly, a geisha girl cried out for help. Unintentionally, Sanji bumped into her, causing her to be frightened and reluctant to approach him, seeing their sister being attacked. Other girls also became cautious and drove him away, leaving Sanji disappointed. As soon as he stepped out, Queen began teasing and mocking Sanji again, because of Sanji's code of never hitting women and his desire not to be like his emotionless family. While Queen kept provoking and taunting Sanji, he was struggling internally, trying to figure out what kind of person he needed to become to help Luffy become the Pirate King. In the end, Sanji made a decision and took out the Germa suit, which excited Queen. Unexpectedly, Sanji shattered the suit because he would never become a part of the Germa family. On Zoro's side, he is busy fighting with King when suddenly someone calls him on the Den Den Mushi. Zoro doesn't understand who is calling him at this moment. It turns out to be Sanji, who tells him, "If after this battle, I lose control of myself, then please kill me." Although Zoro doesn't know what's happening, he agrees with Sanji and says, "You're not allowed to die before I kill you." Finally, Sanji decided to unleash all his strength to defeat Queen. Surprisingly, Sanji vanished at an incredibly fast speed and delivered a powerful kick to Queen. Meanwhile, Kid and Law were under a relentless attack from Big Mom, forcing them to strategize how to deal with her. On the other hand, Robin was being hunted down by CP0 agents. Suddenly, Kanjuro's fire monster fell down and promptly swallowed the CP0 agents whole. It turned out that Orochi intended to use this monster to burn down the entire castle. Suddenly, Orochi heard the sound of Hiori's lute, which delighted him as he believed his beloved was still alive. Meanwhile, Momonosuke continued his efforts to create flame clouds to hinder Onigashima's movements. As for Zoro, he is still facing off against King. Suddenly, King pulled back his stretched mask from behind, creating a strong counterforce. King rushed at Zoro with incredible speed, making it impossible for him to block. So Zoro decided to counterattack. He immediately unleashed the Haki of his sword, Enma, creating a whirlwind to attack King. However, King easily broke through the attack. At this moment, King drew his sword and faced Zoro. He realized that King's body was incredibly sturdy, and the flame behind him was very peculiar as well. Zoro didn't know what race King belonged to. Then, King attacked Zoro and sent him flying, leaving him exhausted. At this moment, Zoro heard the sound of Hiori's musical instrument. Surprisingly, the Enma sword autonomously absorbed Zoro's Haki, causing him great pain. While Orochi was very pleased to be reunited with his crush, on Yamato's side, she were trying to find a way to stop the fire-breathing monster and realized that if it continued down to the lower levels, it would reach the explosives beneath, potentially destroying the entire castle. So, Yamato hurriedly ran down to the basement to prevent any disaster. Meanwhile, the two CP0 agents were safe and still determined to find Robin. Suddenly, Apu got involved in the situation, and he was swiftly dealt with. Despite knowing Drake's undercover identity as a Marine agent, they still intended to eliminate him. However, to their surprise, Apu was still alive and attacked them. This led Drake and Apu to decide to team up and take care of these two troublemakers. Momo continued to exert all his strength to pull the entire island, but it still wouldn't budge. Meanwhile, Zoro was struggling as he was being drained of Haki due to hearing Hiori's melody. Although, Zoro eventually regained control of Enma, but King relentlessly attacked Zoro once more, sending him flying. Suddenly, King stood still, allowing Zoro to strike him. Unexpectedly, King's body exploded, sending Zoro flying into a wall. Zoro was unsure why King's body was unusually strong and sturdy. At this moment, Zoro decided to put all his strength into one sword strike. He quickly injured King with great speed, but King remained unfazed. As King lunged at Zoro once again, Enma suddenly went out of control, leaving Zoro unable to evade the attack. In that moment, he recalled the cursed sword he had obtained, the Kitetsu sword. It turned out that the sword belonged to the old blacksmith. While still being attacked by King, Zoro recalled the Wado Ichimonji sword that once belonged to Kuina. He couldn't understand why a sword from the East Blue ended up in Wano country. At this moment, King continued his assault on Zoro. In response, Zoro quickly ran to retrieve the Enma sword and managed to block King's attack. However, due to the force of the clash, Zoro was sent flying into a nearby building. Looking at the Enma sword, suddenly Zoro recalled an old fisherman he had known in his village when he was young. The fisherman had some connection to Wano country, because the old man blacksmith had said that both the Wado Ichimonji and Enma swords were crafted by a legendary blacksmith named Kozaburo. It turns out that Kozaburo had left Wano country 50 years ago. Zoro remembered that when he was young, he always lost to Kuina, which made him frustrated, so he often went to play with the old man fisherman, who was also Kuina's grandfather. Seeing Zoro's passion for swordsmanship, the old man decided to give him 2 real swords. He taught Zoro many things and also shared stories about the Enma sword, which was also known as the Great King of Hell. Now, Zoro recalled the memories of the Enma sword. On Momo's side, he is still trying to pull the island. but the flame clouds he creates are too weak. Suddenly, Momo realizes that he can control Kaido's clouds, so he immediately pulls them away. Zoro realizes that Enma has chosen him. Thanks to recalling the teachings of the old man fisherman, Zoro finally manages to control Enma. Even Oden had a hard time controlling the sword. Suddenly, a group of foolish soldiers attacked Zoro. While he had mastered his Haki, unexpectedly, he inadvertently unleashed his conqueror's Haki, causing the soldiers to faint. King immediately asked, "Do you intend to become a king?" Zoro suddenly remembered that he had also made a promise with Luffy that he would become the world's strongest swordsman. Queen was still infuriated by the destruction of the Germa technology by Sanji, so he shot a laser at him. He recognized that this skill belonged to Ichiji. Then Queen continued to electrocute Sanji, which was Niji's skill, but Sanji continued to move swiftly towards Queen. It turned out that Queen had thoroughly studied the technology of Germa, enabling him to mimic all of their techniques. Queen continued to capture Sanji and threw him using Yanji's technique. However, Sanji was the only one that Queen had not studied thoroughly, which frustrated him. As Queen was about to finish him off, Sanji retaliated with a flaming kick, breaking Queen's arm. Sanji was annoyed because this unpleasant guy kept constantly mentioning his demon family. Sanji, in anger, immediately kicked him, making him hit the wall. However, he managed to stand up again. Moreover, he taunted Sanji, saying that eventually, he would become a heartless person. This made Sanji even more frustrated and determined to defeat Queen. Unexpectedly, Queen was able to use Sanji's own invisibility technique against him. When Queen attempted to attack him from behind, Sanji quickly circled back to find Queen. Suddenly, he noticed a geisha girl chasing a mouse. Turns out, she was injured last time because Queen had attacked her. Because of his frustration from being rejected when confessing his feelings, he used his invisibility and sneakily attacked her, blaming Sanji for it. When he was about to attack her again, Sanji realized that he still had a strong affinity for women and hadn't changed at all. So, Sanji swiftly moved towards him. Sanji unleashed his full power, manifesting a blue flame and delivered a direct kick to Queen's face. At this moment, Sanji's speed and strength reached a whole new level. Even Queen's provocations had no effect on him anymore. He knew that he was the cook on the Straw Hat Pirate's ship, and with this newfound determination, he charged at Queen with incredible speed. With a mighty kick, Sanji ended the fight, sending Queen flying off the island for good. The girl realized that Sanji had saved her, and her fear of him vanished. Despite being exhausted, Sanji emerged victorious from the battle. On Zoro's side, he managed to control Enma and continuously attacked King. However, King's body was remarkably unique and tough, making it difficult for Zoro to land a hit on him. Zoro believed that there must be a weakness, so he put all his strength into a powerful strike. Surprisingly, this time he managed to cleave King's mask in half, revealing King's face and astonishing his subordinates. Realizing that King's face was specially wanted by the government, with a bounty of 100 million belly, he was surprised to see that King killed his own subordinates. Without hesitation, King immediately turned back to attack Zoro. Suddenly, Zoro realized he couldn't prolong the battle any longer, so he decided to go all out against King. While King boasted that Kaido would become the Pirate King, Zoro unleashed his full strength, using his demon slash attack with lightning speed against him. Meanwhile, King also released his own power to counter Zoro's attack, and he remembered when Kaido had just saved him from the government's experiment facility. Because Kaido recognized that King belonged to the legendary Lunarian tribe with the ability to produce fire, he wanted King to join his pirate crew. So, Kaido rescued him from the facility, and when Kaido learned his real name was Albert, he decided to give him the nickname, King. King was determined to defeat Zoro, so he rushed forward and struck him with a powerful attack. However, Zoro managed to block and push King back. Undeterred, King continued his assault. Unexpectedly, Zoro landed a powerful strike on King's body, but King still didn't flinch or show any signs of pain, so, Zoro immediately jumped in and launched another attack. But unexpectedly, King knocked him away again. Despite that, Zoro could still continue the fight. At this moment, King decided to fly up and create a circle of fire, preparing to deliver a decisive blow to Zoro. So Zoro countered with his own attack, continuously splitting the fire dragons that King created. Zoro decided to end the battle and unleashed all his strength, charging directly at King. Finally, Zoro defeated him. Suddenly, King remembered that Kaido had once proclaimed himself as Joy Boy, the one who would create a new world, so he was determined to help Kaido become the Pirate King. However, at this moment, King was defeated. Zoro realized that only when he becomes the world's greatest swordsman can he truly be worthy of accompanying Luffy, so he aspired to become the King of Swordsmen. Finally, Zoro emerged victorious. But at this moment, he was also exhausted. CP0 was surprised to learn that the Straw Hat Pirates had defeated all the All-Stars of Kaido. But if they don't win against 2 Yonko, then their battle would be considered meaningless. Meanwhile, Big Mom was dominating Kid and Law in the battle. Meanwhile, Luffy is fiercely battling Kaido, and Yamato has to run down to the basement quickly before the fire monster reaches the explosives below. Usopp has found Kinemon and helped to reattach his body parts. While he was about to assist Kiku, he got surrounded by Kaido's troops. Fortunately, Izo arrived just in time to deal with them. Seeing his injured brother wanting to give up, Izo took off his shirt to show his determination. He held back the soldiers, to let Usopp escort Kinemon and Kiku away from this place, while Orochi is leisurely enjoying the music and deluding himself that he will marry Hiori. Appu saw Drake being defeated by the CP0 and realized that staying there would be fatal, so he quickly ran away. On Luffy's side, he continues to fight fiercely against Kaido. Even though he is still overwhelmed, whenever Kaido attacks, Luffy immediately counterattacks. Luffy activates Gear 3 and delivers a direct punch to Kaido's face. At this moment, both of them are exhausted, but they are also happy because of this intense battle. While Momo is struggling to pull the entire Onigashima island, Kaido takes out some sake and drinks it in front of Luffy. Infuriating him, Kaido said, "Do you want a drink?" Luffy replied, "After defeating you, we'll have a feast with everyone." This suddenly made Kaido angry, but he started crying and laughing at the same time. Luffy realized that he was drunk. Kaido was so unsteady on his feet that it enraged Luffy, who then rushed in to attack Kaido. Unexpectedly, his technique was called Shurin Hake. Kaido transformed and swung his club, delivering a powerful blow to Luffy, knocking him unconscious. While Kaido contemplated, "After this battle, I'll have to rebuild the castle." Luffy regained consciousness and remained undeterred. He continued to attack Kaido. Unexpectedly, Kaido used Demolishing Wind to block him. Luffy realized that Kaido was drunk and started crying uncontrollably. Despite being in a fit of rage, Kaido was still able to fight Luffy fiercely. Suddenly, Luffy realized Kaido's weakness and delivered a kick that made Kaido take him seriously. After that strike, Kaido sobered up and unleashed a fiery breath attack at him. But Luffy managed to dodge and flew up. Using a barrage of punches, Kaido retaliated immediately, but surprisingly, Luffy was able to push him back. On the side of the world government's sacred land, the 5 elders are discussing a legendary devil fruit that no one has been able to awaken for 800 years, and they have to give it a different name to conceal its true identity. At this moment, Chopper has returned to his normal form, and Izo has dealt with all of Kaido's subordinates, though he is also heavily injured. Unexpectedly, 2 CP0 agents appear. Meanwhile, Yamato is rushing down to the basement to prevent the fire creature from reaching the explosives. She immediately transforms and freezes the entire warehouse, preventing the creature from reaching the explosives. Thanks to Yamato's actions, the creature is unable to reach the explosives. As a result, the creature is immediately knocked away by Yamato. However, it quickly returns and spews flames at Yamato. On Law and Kid's side, they are being overwhelmed by Big Mom for daring to gang up on an older person, causing both of them to collapse again. At this moment, Big Mom wonders why Kaido still hasn't defeated Luffy. She decides to head to the top of the castle to check it out, which infuriates Law. He immediately uses his devil fruit powers to immobilize her with his sword to capture her. Law immediately shocks Big Mom again, causing her to writhe in pain and fall down. Kid has also regained consciousness and utilizes his devil fruit power to merge with metal and transform into a gigantic robotic bull, and he immediately rushes in to suck Big Mom away. At this moment, Kid continues to attack Big Mom. Despite her efforts to resist, Big Mom is still pushed away by Kid's attack. Law felt annoyed as the other guy was stealing his spotlight. Suddenly, Big Mom regained consciousness, and despite her broken arm, she used her soul power to heal herself. This made her even more excited. Law warned that he only had strength for one more attack, and if they failed, they would both be defeated. Big Mom summoned 3 swords from her homies and struck a powerful blow at them. However, Kid managed to block it and then rushed in, turning Big Mom into a magnetic attraction to metal. Kid continued his assault, and Law kept teleporting and attacking her in quick succession. Despite their excellent coordination, Big Mom was still too powerful. She easily knocked both Law and Kid away. Enraged, she unleashed the full strength of her soul-based devil fruit powers, combining all three homies to create a colossal female monster that attacked Kid. The sight of this frenzied monster terrified everyone. As Big Mom prepared to finish off Kid, Law promptly teleported the entire building, causing it to fall on top of Big Mom's head. Seizing the opportunity, Law jumped down and thrust his sword at Big Mom. This time, his sword extended and pierced through the entire island, reaching the molten magma beneath the ground. So, Big Mom continued to punch him in the face. But Law didn't give up. He shocked Big Mom with a powerful electric attack, creating a huge pit that made her stumble. Seeing this, Kid stepped in and created a magnetic gun, firing it straight at Big Mom. However, she resisted and defiantly said, "It's time for all of you to end." So, she immediately released her devil fruit power, sucking the souls of everyone around her. But Kid and Law were the only ones who were not affected by her age-stealing ability. This surprised Kaido's men, who exclaimed, "Aren't they afraid of the Yonko?" At this moment, Law continued to use his devil fruit power, creating a protective circle around Big Mom. Surprisingly, this circle could nullify all sound, just like Corazone's ability. Thus, Big Mom couldn't instill fear in others and steal their lifespans. Finally, both Law and Kid delivered decisive blows that sent Big Mom tumbling down to the lower level. Yamato was surprised because she couldn't hear anything at all. Unexpectedly, Big Mom fell right into a pile of explosives, resulting in her complete defeat and being thrown off Onigashima Island. At this moment, Big Mom recalled the time when Roger was executed, as he had ignited the era of pirates. Only by doing so could they create new powerful generations like that. However, she still regrets not finding the One Piece. In the end, Big Mom fell into the abyss and exploded, officially ending her era. Kid and Law emerged victorious against one of the Yonko. While Momo is still struggling to pull the entire Onigashima Island, he hears the call of Zunesha. Yamato manages to push back the lava monster and coincidentally sees Momo. He informs Yamato that Zunesha is approaching and is actually a comrade of Joy Boy from 800 years ago. On the other side, Izo has confronted CP0 and realizes that they are currently targeting the Straw Hat crew. Izo decides to stop them and immediately attacks. However, the CP0 agents are too fast, making it difficult for Izo to handle both of them alone. Eventually, Izo gets overwhelmed and knocked unconscious, but he manages to take down one of the agents. Meanwhile, the remaining CP0 agent is frustrated as they still haven't captured Robin. Suddenly, the CP0 agent receives a message from the world government's 5 elders, ordering an immediate termination of Straw Hat Luffy. Surprisingly, this CP0 agent started to worry. If he interferes in Kaido's battle, he will be killed by Kaido. As Orochi saw Hiori, he became very frightened, mistaking her for a ghost. He was so shocked that he got crushed by a falling rock, and Hiori took the opportunity to stab him with a nail. Meanwhile, Kaido and Luffy continued their intense battle. Suddenly, Kaido became enraged upon learning that Kid and Law had defeated Big Mom. He reminisced about the time when Big Mom was still young and he had just joined the Rock's pirates. While Kaido was lost in thought, Luffy quickly used Gear 4 to attack him. When Orochi regained consciousness, he realized that he couldn't transform anymore. It turned out that Hiori had stabbed him with a seastone nail. Now, she revealed her true identity as Oden's daughter, which shocked Orochi. Meanwhile, Luffy continued to unleash a barrage of punches on Kaido. As the CP0 agent was heading up to the top floor of the castle, he was suddenly attacked by Drake, who had overheard their plans. Surprisingly, CP0 was able to counterattack against Drake. Even though he took a series of punches from Luffy, it was still like mosquito bites to Kaido. Undeterred, Luffy increased the strength of his punches, causing significant damage to Kaido, but he still counterattacked Luffy. Surprisingly, Kaido was still intoxicated. He transformed into a dragon and rushed to bite him. Kaido soared into the sky and shot a massive fireball at Luffy. The attack was so powerful that it pierced through the entire island. But Luffy managed to switch to another form and escape. Now, Luffy immediately returned to attack Kaido as his Gear 4 was reaching its limit. So, he inflated his arm into a gigantic size. Luffy intended to unleash a tremendously powerful attack to finish Kaido. As a result, Kaido was struck and fell to the ground. However, Luffy realized that he hadn't completely defeated Kaido yet. So, he charged in once again. Unexpectedly, he was hit by Kaido's club, sending Luffy flying. Luffy realized that he couldn't afford to lose, so he tightly sealed his mouth, preventing any air from escaping. With determination in his eyes, he stood up and declared, "This is my final attack. If I can't defeat you with this, then I'll be the one to lose." As a result, Kaido also decided to put all his strength into a single attack. Both of them unleashed their strongest moves, and unexpectedly, the CP0 agent jumped in, holding Luffy's hand, which reminded Kaido of his previous battle with Oden, but he couldn't stop it this time. Consequently, Luffy took a blow from Kaido, causing him to collapse completely. Kaido's face was filled with disappointment, and Luffy exhaled all the air out, returning to his normal state. As he was falling, Luffy's heart started pounding like a drum, and Kaido realized that Luffy couldn't stand up anymore. Finally, Kaido emerged victorious, but he was still very angry, because this CP0 agent dared to interfere in the battle. The other CP0 agent had already prepared a coffin in advance, so he stood still without any worry, allowing Kaido to finish him off. At this moment, Kaido still felt regretful about the battle with Luffy, making him extremely furious, and he created lightning bolts in the sky. Suddenly, Kaido transformed into a dragon and flew down towards the castle, leaving everyone surprised and unaware of Luffy's whereabouts. Kaido declared to everyone that Luffy was dead, leaving them all in shock. The Straw Hat crew couldn't believe it, and Nami, infuriated, scolded Kaido as a liar. When Kaido was about to deal with Nami, Marco quickly intervened and protected her. So, Nami remained safe and unharmed. Kaido declared that he would turn all the people of Wano into slaves. Kid and Law are currently being attacked by the soldiers because they have exhausted their strength. At this moment, all the samurai are feeling desperate. On Momo's side, he is feeling terrified as he realizes that Luffy has been defeated. However, Yamato refuses to give up and continues to fight, determined to defeat Kaido. Meanwhile, Luffy remains motionless on top of the castle, and Kid and Law struggle to stand up and keep fighting. Nami still believed and said, "Luffy, you must fulfill your promise to everyone." Unexpectedly, at this moment, Luffy's heart starts pounding, sounding like a drum, making Zunesha recall past memories. He said to Momo, "Do you hear the sound of the drum?" For the first time in 800 years, it has finally come. While Luffy was beginning to transform, Momo asked in confusion, "Who is he?" "It's Joy Boy, he has returned." Luffy has also regained consciousness at this moment, and his hair has changed to white. He doesn't understand how he can still stand up. "Clearly, I have already lost." Suddenly, Luffy feels very happy, and he bursts into laughter, while the tremendous power within Luffy continued to radiate. He underwent a complete transformation. His hair and clothes turned white. Sanji also sensed an immense surge of strength coming from Luffy, and everyone could feel it too. Luffy is still alive. At this moment, Luffy continued to laugh while looking at the moon. The 5 elders of the world government realized that their efforts to prevent the awakening of Luffy's devil fruit power were in vain. It turns out that the Gomu Gomu no Mi devil fruit, which the world government has been fiercely protecting, and hidden for over 800 years, it is not an ordinary paramecia-type devil fruit. It turns out it is a mythical zone-type devil fruit, named Hito Hito no Mi, model Sun God Nika. It has a body similar to rubber. When active, it can grant its owner the ability to fight freely. While Luffy is still fascinated with his new state, Hiori is playing a tune for Orochi to listen to. Realizing that he is about to be killed, Orochi shamelessly begs for forgiveness from Hiori. However, after all the atrocities he has committed against her country, even harming her own father and family, Hiori cannot find it in her heart to forgive him. Suddenly, Kanjuro's fire-breathing monster appears, notifying Orochi that the plan has failed. Unexpectedly, the fire-breathing creature loses control and incinerates Orochi. While Luffy is enthralled by his new state, he feels like he can accomplish anything, even turning the ground into rubber. This newfound power of mine. This is Gear 5. At this moment, Luffy keeps leaping around and laughing like a madman. He unleashes his conqueror's Haki, striking Kaido and leaving him bewildered by this overwhelming power. Luffy immediately jumps up and inflates his arm even further. While Kaido is still confused about what is happening, suddenly, Luffy's hand shot forward, grabbing Kaido like a worm and pulling him up into the sky. Everyone watching realized that Luffy was back. He immediately flexed his muscles and landed a powerful punch straight into Kaido's face. He could even lift Kaido up, spin him around, and continuously knock him down, causing Kaido's head to spin in confusion. While Luffy was still laughing happily, Kaido became furious. "You're still alive, Straw Hat?" As Kaido was about to shoot fire at him, but Luffy moved swiftly, even being able to grip the ground like rubber and bounce back Kaido's attack. He turned into a burnt dragon. At this moment, Kaido realized he needed to apologize to that CP0 agent. Without him, Luffy wouldn't have awakened his devil fruit power. Kaido was delighted to have a rematch with Luffy. Meanwhile, Luffy said, "It's time to decide the winner." Suddenly, Kaido became curious about why Luffy was still alive, and why everything around him had turned into rubber. So he realized that Luffy's devil fruit had awakened. Clearly, it exhibited characteristics of a paramecia-type devil fruit, but it seemed to resemble a zone-type devil fruit. So, Kaido lunged at Luffy and bit him, causing Luffy to inflate his muscles even more in an effort to escape, but he was still swallowed by Kaido. At first, it seemed like Luffy might be turned into Kaido's digestive product. Surprisingly, Luffy was comfortably playing and attacking Kaido from within. He even inflated his body, turning Kaido into a round ball, making Yamato and Momo surprised. They couldn't understand why Kaido appeared so round. At this point, Kaido was wondering why his body felt like rubber. Luffy noticed a light ahead, so he reached out and pierced through Kaido's two eyes, to force him to release Luffy. Finally, Luffy managed to escape from Kaido's mouth. As Yamato and Momo got closer, they saw that Luffy had turned into a giant. He was about to kick Kaido down to the ground, but Kaido managed to dodge and lunged at Luffy to bite him. Unexpectedly, Luffy grabbed Kaido by the neck and started playing jump rope with him, so Kaido shot flames at Luffy to break free. Even though he was burnt black, Luffy showed no signs of giving up, and he continued to charge at Kaido. Kid-in-law, down below, realized that Luffy had to win this battle for everyone to have a chance to survive. So, everyone placed their hopes on Luffy. At that moment, when Luffy was about to charge and attack Kaido, unexpectedly, he rushed forward and appeared in front of Luffy, delivering a powerful blow that sent Luffy's head crashing down below the castle, causing everyone to startle. That giant is Luffy, isn't it? So, Luffy had returned to his normal size. Kaido noticed that Luffy was exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy's Gear 5 disappeared, causing Luffy's face to sag like an old man's. Surprisingly, Kaido also reached his limit and slumped down. But Luffy stood up again and said, "It's not over yet." At this moment, Luffy remembered the sacrifices of everyone, so he activated Gear 5 again, exciting Kaido. Luffy felt his heartbeat resurge, and both of them continued the battle. Kaido immediately charged and struck Luffy's head. His mace stuck right into Luffy's head, but no matter how he attacked, Luffy remained completely unharmed, thanks to his rubber-like properties, leaving Kaido utterly perplexed. As Luffy fought with complete freedom, so Luffy charged forward, delivering a powerful punch to Kaido's head, sending him soaring into the mountain. While Luffy was happily contemplating a name for his new technique, Kaido had regained consciousness and asked, "Who are you, in the end?" Luffy replied, "I am Monkey D. Luffy. I will become the Pirate King." This infuriated Kaido immensely because Luffy had continuously thwarted his plans, including the defeat of his closest subordinates, Queen and King, by Sanji and Zoro. Therefore, Kaido was determined to defeat Luffy. So, Kaido charged at him, but none of his attacks had any effect on Luffy. Luffy promptly coiled his body and launched a continuous barrage of punches at Kaido, which left Kaido starting to feel exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy noticed the massive fire raging below the castle, but he still had faith in his comrades, and he remained focused on defeating Kaido. Inside the castle, Chopper was extremely worried about everyone because they couldn't find anyone. However, Nami and Otama were determined not to give up. On the other hand, Brook and Robin were surrounded by flames, while Jinbei and Raizo were brainstorming ways to extinguish the fire. Sanji was protecting the girls. Usopp was also trying to put out the fire, but their efforts seemed to be in vain. Frankie was carrying Zoro and running away. At this moment, Raizo and Jinbei found a way to extinguish the fire. It turned out that on Zou Island, Zunesha had sprayed a massive amount of water onto its back to take a bath. So Raizo had stored all that water inside his ninja technique scroll, and he released all the water. Jinbei used Fishman Karate to control the water and put out the fire throughout the castle. Thanks to this, everyone was saved, while Yamato was forcing Momo to lift the entire island. Otherwise, all the people would be in grave danger, because Kaido's flame clouds were gradually disappearing. As for Luffy, he had jumped straight into the sky. He immediately grasped a bolt of lightning as his weapon to attack Kaido. Momo realized that the island was about to fall, so he tried to create flame clouds. But Momo kept failing repeatedly. Suddenly, he remembered his mother. When the entire castle was being engulfed in Kaido's flames, Momo's mother had always believed in him and the 9 red scabbards to rescue Wano country. Even though, at that time, Momo was just a child. But seeing the trust of everyone in him, Momo decided to join Kinemon's group in traveling to the future. So at this moment, Momo had regained his determination. Suddenly, the island's descent speed increased. It turned out Luffy was engaged in a fierce battle with Kaido, directing bolts of lightning at him. He even moved at incredible speed, leaving Kaido overwhelmed by Luffy's strength. So he immediately swung a mace to knock Luffy away. But Luffy remained unharmed, and swiftly returned to attack Kaido. When Kaido shot flames to knock Luffy away, he immediately used the lightning like rubber, creating elastic force and rebounding straight at Kaido. But Kaido continued to block it. Suddenly, Luffy gathered all the lightning together, continuously striking Kaido's head. Surprisingly, Kaido swiftly moved and attacked Luffy. At this point, Kaido believed that relying solely on devil fruits was not enough to dominate the world. But Haki was the most crucial aspect, so he used the Thunderclap 8 trigrams to strike Luffy with an incredibly powerful attack. While the people of Wano still didn't know what was happening, they released many prayer lanterns into the sky. At this moment, Kaido thought he had defeated Luffy, but to his surprise, Luffy was still there. He grabbed Kaido's body and pulled him. So Kaido transformed into a dragon, and he unleashed his entire array of techniques on Luffy, leaving Luffy burnt black. On the other hand, Orochi was still burning, but it inadvertently helped him escape from the sea prism stone nails. So he released his devil fruit power, intending to take Hiori down to hell with him. Meanwhile, Otoko and the old blacksmith watched as the lanterns floated into the sky. While Luffy was up in the sky, witnessing the hopes of everyone, Hio believed that Luffy would fulfill his promise. Kaido thought he had defeated Luffy already, but he was surprised to see Luffy reappear once more, dragging a massive fist through the sky. Luffy said to Momo, "Let's save this kingdom together. I believe in you." Yamato was extremely surprised because Luffy's fist had the potential to destroy the entire island of Onigashima. Kaido realized that Luffy wanted a full-scale showdown with him, so he released his full power, enveloping his entire body in flames, and transformed into a true fire dragon. But Luffy didn't back down. He unleashed his massive fist directly at Kaido, causing Onigashima Island to tremble. Seeing Luffy's attack, all the samurai placed their hopes in him. Kawamatsu remembered the day when Oden sacrificed himself to save the 9 red scabbards. Kaido and Orochi had cast a dark shadow over all of Wano country. Even though the samurai had risen up together, they couldn't withstand Kaido's overwhelming power. This left the entire kingdom of Wano engulfed in flames. Since then, the people of Wano had to live in hell, forced into harsh labor, even to the point of not having enough food and clean water to consume, leaving everyone in despair, until one day, Orochi sent them defective devil fruits, causing everyone to lose their true emotions. Even a child had to laugh when their parents passed away. Hiori was the one who witnessed everything, so this time, she was determined to seek revenge on Orochi. When Orochi released his devil fruit power to attack Hiori, Denjiro appeared just in time, and officially put an end to Orochi's dictatorship. As for Momo, he saw Luffy's determination, along with the prayer lanterns of the people of Wano. Momo knew that his parents were still watching over him, so it helped him regain his spirit, determined to rescue everyone, while all the samurai prayed for Luffy's victory. While Luffy was putting all his strength into one final attack against Kaido, suddenly, Kaido remembered his past. It turned out that from a young age, Kaido had immense strength, even capable of destroying an entire kingdom, and becoming the mightiest warrior of the Vodka Kingdom at the age of just 10. But due to the uncontrollable nature of Kaido's strength, the king decided to capture him, handing Kaido over to the navy, turning him into the government's hunting dog. At this moment, Kaido realized that the king had used him to secure a seat at the Reverie Conference. So Kaido told Luffy, "I want to build a world ruled by violence because I am the strongest," and Kaido began to acknowledge Luffy's strength, so he shot a fireball that sent Luffy flying back. Kaido continued to say, "No matter how hard you try, you can't change this world." It turns out that when Kaido was captured by the navy, he managed to escape, so he was immediately wanted with a bounty of 70 million belly. But whenever he got hungry and thirsty, Kaido would intentionally let the navy capture him again, and once he was full, he would escape again. So Whitebeard began to take notice of Kaido. Realizing that Kaido, at just 15 years old, possessed the strength of a monster, that's when Whitebeard recruited Kaido as a pirate, and he joined the Rock Pirates. Since then, Kaido became a member of the Rock Pirates, a pirate crew composed of the strongest individuals. But not long after, everyone received news that the Rock Pirates had been defeated by Garp. While Big Mom was extremely furious, seeking Kaido to collect her debt, Kaido decided to split from the Rock Pirates and form his own pirate crew, a place where he could dominate the world through war and violence. At this moment, Luffy remained determined to win. Luffy immediately increased the power in his punch, causing Kaido to be pushed back. Then Kaido remembered saying to King, "I know who Joy Boy is," while the final CP0 agent was fleeing Wano to report back to the Five Elders. Momo, on the other hand, was cheering for Luffy. He believed that Luffy would definitely win, and upon seeing the prayer lanterns of the people of Wano, Momo was determined to create the flame clouds to save everyone. Yamato realized that the island was falling. They didn't have much time left. At this moment, Kaido still believed, "In this world, no one can defeat me." While people were still running away from the fire, Raizo and Jinbei's water arrived and extinguished all the flames in the castle. Yamato saw that Kaido's flame clouds had disappeared, causing the island to fall even faster, so she immediately told Momo to create a fire cloud quickly. If not, all the people in the capital would be in danger. But unexpectedly, this time, Momo succeeded in creating a large fire cloud. He wrapped it around the falling island and pulled it back up, while Kaido continued to boast about his strength, further infuriating Luffy. He suddenly asked Luffy, "What kind of world do you want to create, Straw Hat?" Unexpectedly, Luffy increased his strength even more, making his punch even larger. At this moment, Luffy remembered the determination of all his friends. He said, "The world I want to create is a place where all my friends can eat their fill." Unexpectedly, Luffy's strength blew away Kaido's flames. He then delivered a final punch, a powerful blow straight to Kaido's face, sending him crashing to the ground. At this moment, all the prayer lanterns flew towards Luffy, making Luffy very happy, because he had fulfilled the prayers of everyone. Kaido, on the other hand, remembered telling King that, "Joy Boy is the man who can defeat me." In the end, Kaido was defeated. Momo also successfully pulled the Onigashima island to a safe landing place, while Kaido transformed back into his human form and fell into the lava pit just like Big Mom. Luffy also reverted to his normal form and fell down. Fortunately, Yamato managed to catch him, bringing great joy to Yamato as Luffy emerged victorious. Not only Yamato, but all the samurai were also filled with happiness, because, at long last, the 20-year-long autocratic rule of Kaido over the land of Wano has come to an end. Even the Straw Hat Pirates were also delighted upon hearing the news of Luffy's victory. But Chopper still couldn't take a break, because he had to treat the wounds of everyone. At this moment, Momo spoke to Zunisha. "For now, I won't open the borders of the Wano kingdom." That's why he wants to grow stronger to protect this land himself. Surprisingly, there are still a few of Kaido's soldiers who haven't given up, because they don't believe that a Yonko's pirate crew could be defeated, so Yamato immediately ran to intercept them. Suddenly, everyone felt the ground shaking. The underwater volcano erupted, causing concern among the people in the flower capital. So Momo rushed to reassure them, thinking he was Kaido, which frightened everyone. Then Momo quickly said, "I'm not Kaido," and reverted to his human form. At that moment, Hiori and the 9 red scabbards also appeared. This surprised all the people in the flower capital, because they had thought the 9 red scabbards had died long ago. This made everyone joyful as they remembered Toki's prophecy, that 20 years later, the 9 red scabbards would return. So they immediately live-streamed for everyone in the Wano kingdom to watch. On Frankie's side, when they learned that Yamato is Kaido's child, they were immediately shocked. Suddenly, she announced, "I'm joining your crew." This left the entire group even more shocked. At this moment, Otama informed everyone that her taming ability is only effective for a month. So, in a month, the gifters will return to normal. Despite that, Speed stated that she would always consider Otama as her master. At this point, all the members of the 9 red scabbards had knelt down, causing everyone to be curious, not knowing who had appeared. While Otama remembered the hardships she had endured, and Luffy's promise, "When we left this country, then, everyone will definitely have enough to eat every day." So Momo declared to everyone, "The rule of Orochi and Kaido has come to an end, thanks to the alliance of the pirates, the Mink tribe, the ninjas, and the samurai." This immediately made everyone overjoyed and shed tears of happiness. Kinemon noticed that Momo was still fearful while standing in front of everyone, but he remembered Luffy's words, so, Momo immediately mustered the courage to declare, "I am Kazuki Momonosuke, the one who will become the shogun of this kingdom." This brought tears to the eyes of the 9 red scabbards, for at last, Momo had grown up. On the other hand, the 5 elder stars were surprised that 2 Yonkos had been defeated at the same time, so they realized that this secret couldn't be hidden any longer. 1 week after the battle ended, while Luffy and Zoro were still recovering, the lives of the people had returned to peace. Even the impoverished people had clean water to drink, and they no longer had to worry about food shortages. Suddenly, Hiori rushed over to inform Momo, Luffy and Zoro have recovered. But the first thing Luffy and Zoro did after recovering was to eat meat and drink sake. They even used their combat skills to eat. At this moment, Yamato and Momo immediately ran over. But Luffy and Zoro didn't know who this guy was. "I am Momo." This immediately shocked both of them, because he had grown very tall, when Zoro wanted to challenge him to a fight. So, Momo immediately hugged Nami, but she gave him a slap, because he was no longer a child. As for Sanji, upon discovering that Zoro was always being cared for by Hiori when he was unconscious, it immediately made Sanji jealous. So, the two of them started fighting. Later, the whole group went to take a bath together. Surprisingly, Yamato went into the men's bath. This immediately caused Sanji's nose to bleed. Meanwhile, Kiku bathed together with Nami's group. At this time, Kid and Law's crew were planning to leave the kingdom, because they knew that sooner or later, the news of them defeating the Yonkos would leak out. Surprisingly, Apu handed Kid a newspaper. Outside the kingdom at this moment, Admiral Ryokugyu was advancing into Wano to capture Luffy's group. On the other hand, the 5 elder stars had read Morgan's newspaper, but they couldn't stop him from spreading the information about Wano to the whole world. This immediately shook the entire world, because both Yonkos had been defeated by the pirate alliance of Luffy, Kid, and Law, and the bounties of all 3 also increased to 3 billion belly. Suddenly, after reading the newspaper, Kid became furious and immediately went to find Luffy. While Luffy was still feasting at the festival, making everyone drool with hunger because every dish was delicious. Meanwhile, Robin was off to view the poneglyph stone tablet. Suddenly, the old blacksmith came to find her. Robin realized that he knew a lot of Wano's secrets. So, she immediately asked him who he was. Surprisingly, he was the former shogun of Wano, and he was also the grandfather of Momo and Hiori. It turns out that since Wano was occupied by Kaido and Orochi, he felt he had no face left to show to everyone. So, he had to wear a mask and work as a regular blacksmith. Suddenly, Robin asked, "Is the ancient weapon Pluton here, right?" This immediately made him jump. "How do you know?" On Kaido's remaining forces side at this moment, King and Queen were currently confronting Admiral Ryokugyu, so, he unleashed the power of his devil fruit, and drained the life force of Kaido's soldiers. He continued to attack King and Queen, despite their attempts to evade. But Queen was struck by him. Even King was easily defeated by him. So, he began to drain the life force of both of them, leaving Queen so weak that he was skin and bones, transforming Queen from a chubby person into a skinny figure. But Ryokugyu's main purpose in coming to this island was still Luffy. While Luffy was still enjoying the feast, Momo remembered when Luffy had just defeated Kaido. He told Momo not to let anyone know that he was the one who defeated Kaido, because the person everyone was waiting for was Momo. Suddenly, Kid became angry and went in search of Luffy. So, Luffy immediately grabbed him to eat together. At this moment, Kid showed Luffy the latest newspaper. This immediately surprised Luffy, because the list of the 4 emperors of the sea had been altered. Besides Buggy, Blackbeard, and Shanks, Luffy had officially become one of the new 4 emperors of the sea. While Ryokugyu was advancing towards the flower capital, wherever he went, the plants sprouted. At this moment, red-haired Shanks had arrived in Wano. While Luffy's group was still happily feasting, suddenly, the 9 red scabbards felt the presence of a dangerous intruder approaching, so they immediately rushed to stop him. Realizing that this person was an enemy marine of Luffy, they all teamed up to attack him. Surprisingly, Ryokugyu was too powerful and continuously gave the 9 red scabbards a hard time. So, he unleashed the power of his devil fruit. It turns out that Ryokugyu was eating the devil fruit known as the forest human. At this point, he had transformed into a giant tree human, and immediately attacked all of them. But no matter how they struck him, he could still regenerate. Suddenly, Yamato appeared, and immediately gave him a blow to the head. On Shanks' pirate side, they were very joyful, because they learned the news that Luffy had become one of the 4 emperors, and he saw Luffy awaken the devil fruit power, Nika, which reminded Shanks of the time he stole the devil fruit from the world government. After that, he went to Luffy's windmill village. So Luffy inadvertently ate that devil fruit. He even sacrificed one of his arms to save Luffy. At this moment, it was not just Yamato who arrived to stop Ryokugyu. Momo also immediately ran to block him. He was about to shoot fire at him, but it got extinguished, so, Momo rushed to bite him. Surprisingly, Momo was easily caught by him, but he insisted on not letting Yamato join the battle. At this moment, Shanks asked Ben Beckman, "Do you think it's time for us to take One Piece?" On the Nine Red Scabbards side, they kept on attacking Ryokugyu relentlessly to rescue Momo. But Yamato did not allow Momo to do so. Raizo used fire to attack him, thinking he would be afraid of fire. Surprisingly, Ryokugyu just needed to blow lightly to extinguish the flames. He continued to attack Raizo and drained his vitality. At this point, Ryokugyu had captured everyone, and he immediately punched Momo, force him to hand over Luffy. Yamato told Momo to ask Luffy for help. But Momo immediately refused. "We won't rely on Luffy anymore. If we can't protect Wano on our own, this land will have no future." But Momo still couldn't produce fire, making him think that Momo was just playing like a child. So Ryokugyu immediately attacked him. Suddenly, Momo heard Luffy's voice. He immediately helped him regain his spirit and shot out a huge flame, blowing away Ryokugyu. This left everyone in surprise, because this blow was as powerful as Kaido's. Surprisingly, Ryokugyu continued to regenerate. When he was about to attack Momo, Shank immediately released his Conqueror's Haki to subdue Ryokugyu. This left him unable to move and revert to his normal form. "Are you the red-haired?" Turns out he felt itchy eyes, because he dared to bully Momo. Realized he wasn't a match for Shank, so Ryokugyu immediately left. Momo also managed to protect Wano. "So, Luffy actually saw everything?" Jinbei asked. "Whose powerful Haki was that just now?" However, Luffy seemed to recognize that it was Shanks. Today's video ends here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to support Oni-chan in the upcoming videos. Thank you all for following. Much love.